This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a cool, breezy afternoon. There's some cloud cover and the perfect conditions for a young male steenbok to roam around the open plains of Djuma. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon and welcome to our Sunset Safari. My name is Tristan and on camera today I've got Senzo Socks from Geese, who has decided this afternoon to wear his very finest pair of socks, which we'll get into just now. Now remember, we are coming to you live, which is hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, with a YouTube chat if you want to be able to chat to us or you want to ask any questions about what's going on. Now Senzo, since we've started with an S in the Steenbok, I think socks are a perfect time to come out. The clouds are starting to break. There was a bit of sunshine earlier, so Senzo's decided to whip out his best and finest pair of socks this afternoon. Come on Senzo, socks out. I did my socks this morning, you've got to do your socks now. Here we go. So Senzo's got his socks out, and they are very patriotic socks. Look at that. We've got the South African flag socks. So we've got patriotic socks this afternoon. We also have another member of the crew driving around with us this afternoon, and you might have noticed his little eyes sticking out in the dashboard. That is Pooji, the emoticon speaker. That gives us a lot of entertainment, and well, it's just for a bit of vibiness, as Megan says. Before we go out and drive in the parking lot, we kind of play a bit of music and get ourselves into the swing of things. So Pooji's riding along this afternoon, and we thought he would look quite cool under the dashboard with his little white eyes poking out. So he's going to be riding, and hopefully he'll bring us some good luck, because, well, there's lots of potential this afternoon. We're going to probably just do our time lapse quickly. Hello, little male Steenbok. You very relaxed. Are you going to run away from us or stay there? How relaxed is the Steenbok? That's ridiculous. No, he's not running anyways. This is my piece of grass. I'm not going to run away. You can see he's got his nose down sniffing. I wonder if he's looking for his female companion who's around. They're also mating at this time of the year, so much like the duiker, they're also looking to mate and to find females, so that's maybe why he's sniffing so much. Maybe he's picking up the scent of where a female has walked, and that's going to lead him to a mating opportunity. See how he smells all the little branches? He's not actually eating. Maybe that's also why he's not running for us. Too preoccupied with the scent of a lady to worry about this big vehicle that is close by. And like I said, it's probably the most relaxed Steenbok we've seen in a long time. He's in no way scared of us at all. But I was saying that this afternoon is full of promise and hope. We had Hosanna at Twin Dams this morning, the Nkuhuma with her cubs around just north of the lodge, and the hyena den was active. So lots of different things that we can try and schedule for this afternoon. What I want to try and do is probably head towards the Nkuhuma lioness and her fluffy little cubs and see if we can get a view of them this afternoon to start with, because remember, that sighting will close when it starts to get dark, which will be fairly early this afternoon with the cloud cover that we've got. And then we're going to head southwards towards probably Hosanna and try and get a little bit more time with him than the last 2-3 minutes that we had this morning. Apparently he was left very sleepy, all curled up in a tiny little ball in the same place, and there was lots of alarm calls apparently to the north of him. So I'm pretty sure Tumba's around, and I wonder if we're not going to get Tumba Hosanna 2.0 this afternoon. So we'll head in that direction a little bit later to see if we can find the two young gentlemen of Djuma. But before we do all of that and we get too interested in all of the other things, what we need to do is we need to go and do our time lapse. So I'm going to take Senzo to do our time lapse so we can do that, and then we'll have that out the way, and then we can get into the serious stuff. Now, I believe a lot of you are very, very fond of Senzo's socks. I know they are patriotic. I do like them too. Senzo, you've done a sterling effort today, buddy. Well done. So it's always good to be patriotic, and I quite enjoy those ones. So those are fantastic. And yes, Pooji is a wonderful addition to the team. He fits right in, as you can see. He's got a perfect space. It's almost like Wendy was designed to house Pooji on the dashboard. So Pooji sits there. He's got his big white eyes, and he just watches over what goes on. And hopefully he, like I say, will bring us lots of luck. The other nice thing about Pooji is if we have some bird calls and things like that, and I no longer have to kind of hold a phone to my head and pretend like I am kind of concentrating on looking at the back end of my phone. I can play it from here, and Pooji will emanate that sound towards all of you and through the camera, and it will be much easier for all of us involved. So he's a good addition. Oh, I'm not sure if it's a he or she yet. I haven't decided. Megan, he or she? Lou? I don't know. Anybody? Not sure. We'll have to think about that. He. I think he. Oh, Megan goes she. I go he. Senzo says, Megan, it's a he. Lou says he. Sorry, Megan. You've been outvoted 3-1. We win. So there we go. Pooji is a boy. So he's going to bring us some luck this afternoon. I can feel it in my bones. There we go. We can make him play a song. I can feel it in my fingers. I can feel it in my toes. Isn't it something like that? Yes, I think there is a song that goes something like that. Now, I won't be the only one out this afternoon. It seems like we might have the Mara as well in full force. It sounds like Brent Leo Smith is going down the hill, and so is Taylor, and I think Jamie's also might even be out somewhere near a river somewhere and crossing that way. So, oh no, Pooji, don't fall. So it seems as though we're going to have a full crew out this afternoon, which will be wonderful, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very spectacular, given that this morning was anything, well, if we gave anything to go by this morning, it's going to be really quite wonderful. What's wrong, Senzo? I'm supposed to park closer. No, we want to see your socks. So Senzo thinks that I must park closer so that he can hide his socks, but there's no chance. And you can see Senzo is a colourful character. Not only does he have colourful socks, he's got a bright orange jersey, nice bright green t-shirt. So he really is sporting some colours this afternoon, and he is certainly adding some vibrance to our day. So fashion guru, most certainly. Senzo, you are the fashion guru. Once again, standing by his tree waving. There we go, Senzo. This is going to become a thing now. It's no longer the thumb of the afternoon. It's going to be the socks and Senzo waving at the marula tree, because that's what we keep doing to him. But he certainly is looking very, very spiffy this afternoon, and he's going to be impressing whatever animal we come across. Hopefully they will also appreciate the brightness and bits of joyfulness that Senzo is bringing to this afternoon's proceedings. I certainly have enjoyed it. Now, well done, Senzo. That was very quick. You're becoming quicker than Seb at this rate, which is a mean feat, so very good job. Now, I believe that I was saying the Mara team are out and that Brent Leo Smith is out, and well, he's raring to say hello to all of you, so let's go across to him and see what his plans are for the afternoon.
Hello and welcome to the magnificent Mara. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Fergus Clark camera on camera today, and we're going to go try find that female cheetah that we were so desperately after yesterday, but unfortunately the rain put an end to that. Now we're actually going down the road that was a river, and it's looking a little bit drier today. And if we fail with the female cheetah, we'll probably head back towards this area and see if we get any luck with the Angama Pride. So very exciting. We got going a little bit late this afternoon. We had a bit of early rain. Fortunately, it wasn't too heavy, so we are able to get out, and let's hope the rain stays away. Now, Jamie is all the way on the other side of the river, and hopefully she might have some luck with the Amani girls, or even possibly the Billashaka boys. For those who don't know, the Amani girls are a pair of female cheetah, and the Billashaka boys are a coalition of 6 male lions. Oh, here we go, the first bit of fun. Hold on. Whee! Easy does it. out. Remember, hashtag Safari Live. If you have any questions from us, we'd love to hear from you. It is a gorgeous afternoon. Taylor is going to be heading down towards the southeast, seeing if she can maybe catch up. I heard there might be a possibility of some wildebeest crossing around the lookout crossings. So fingers crossed there that there might be some wildies back in the triangle shortly. So we're going to keep marching towards sort of the southwest, so the complete opposite direction to Taylor. We're going to move along up against the Olololo escarpment and see if we can have any luck there with that female cheetah. Of course, it's also great sausage pride country. Lots of muddy spots here, so I'm going to concentrate on where to go and how not to get stuck. While we do that, it sounds like Taylor has got a special treat for you.
Before I even introduce myself, we're going to lose sight of this rhino. Unfortunately, there are quite a few cars here, so I think let's have a little look at the rhino first, and then once we have to reposition, then I shall introduce myself to all of you. But isn't this fantastic? Isn't this incredible? There we go. You can see someone's head and screen. It's very crowded, yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is... We're going to go with Cutthroat Craig. I think we're going to make that stick, a.k.a. Batman. Sometimes people call him Craig, but not really. No, this is live. This is interactive. This is happening right now from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And we're very happy to have you. So if you have any questions for us, remember hashtag. Did I say that already? Hashtag Safari Live? I think I may have said that already, but it doesn't matter. And you can chat to us on the YouTube chat. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get a view of these rhinos because we can't really go off-road here. It's a high usage area, so we've got to stick to the tracks. And there's many cars in front of us, and I don't know. Let me see, Craig. Let me see if I can do a little bit of positioning. But we'll try. How's that gap through these two cars? I'll go a little bit more. There we go. Look how incredible that is. Now, there are two of them here. One was most certainly a male. I didn't really get to have another proper look at the other one. But it could be either way. It could be... Oh, there we go. We can have a look on the left. This will give us a chance to zoom in, to double check. Well, yes, that looks very much like a female. So it is a male and a female that have obviously joined up. Perhaps this lass is coming into estrus, and the male is perhaps starting up in the courtship process, which would be very cool to see. I've only seen rhinos mating once before, and white rhinos, not even black rhinos. So wouldn't that be quite exciting? And it's the first time I've seen them out in the open like this. This is really, really amazing. Oh my goodness, you won't believe our luck. A gap has opened up. Wow. So we're just going to be a little bit patient. One more vehicle is moving, and then we're just going to let them reverse, and then we're going to jump back onto the track. Actually, we're going to do it right now. We're going to steal a sneaky spot, and we're going to stay on the track too. Okay, so I'm just going to park like this. So they're walking away from us, but that's okay. And we're going to keep our distance. We're actually not going to follow them for too long. And the reason for this is because our plan is to head to the far west, where rumblings from, I don't know how Brent gets all his intel, but Brent has whispered to me that apparently there are some wildebeest that have crossed back from the Mara National Reserve back into the triangle. So we're going to go see if we can find them. There are lots of lions down in that area, so it could be quite exciting. Will tonight be the day that I get to see my first takedown from start to finish in the Mara? Because can you believe it, I have not seen a kill yet. Not that it's necessarily my favorite thing, but it's still quite interesting to learn about the various hunting techniques that the different lions use in the different areas. So that'll be quite nice. But I thought it would be a great way to start our day off with one of the endangered species of Africa. And you can see they're living quite well here. They're nice and healthy. There's lots of vegetation for them to browse on. And you can see that these rhinos have actually, well, a part of research. They've got notches in their ears. So they were obviously darted and blood samples were taken. And I'm sure they have their own ID somewhere, hidden safe. Very cool though. Wow, and I really hope you're taking as many screenshots as you can, because it's not often that we get to see them out in the open for such a long time either. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I could spend all day with these animals. It was one of my favorite things to do down in the Eastern Cape, was sit and watch them. Huge horse fan. Are you wondering how long are they pregnant for? You're just wondering. You would like to wonder as much as you like. Well, the gestation period for a black rhino is just a month less than the white rhino, so it's 15 months. It's quite a long time. White rhino is 16 months. But really, it's so close. I mean, what's a month? They've been wallowing as well. They look like they've obviously sat in a bit of mud during the day, and now they're up and feeding. Isn't this great? Now, James, you're wondering how long is the courtship process for a black rhino? I'm trying to think. In the reserve that I worked with, we actually only had males. We didn't have any females. Well, we did, and unfortunately she died of natural causes, not from poaching or anything. So I wasn't able to witness the courtship of a black rhino. I would imagine it would be only a short couple of days, maybe 3 to 5 days or so, and maybe quite similar to the white rhino. But I'll have to have a little look. I did see quite a few black rhinos in the Sabi Sand in the south, but they were so skittish, it was always at a distance, or charging through a line sighting, which I suppose is pretty good. How's that scenery? All those tall trees, the grass is lovely and green, fallen trees. It really is stunning out here. Well, and the fact that you've also got two black white rhinos. Two black rhinos walking through your screen. Look at those pointy lips. Perfect for nibbling off the leaves. I wonder what shrub they're eating over here. Has anyone ever seen the rhinos when they eat euphorbias? It's something that I used to watch them do quite a bit. It's one of their favourite foods, in fact. They eat quite a large amount of the euphorbia, and that is present in this area too. Now, Lara, you said that they are beautiful and they are prehistoric looking. They are. Rhinos haven't really changed much in their design for millions of years. So they really are one of the prehistoric creatures out here, almost armor-plated. But we sadly are going to have to move off from here. We've got a long way to go still to get to the southwestern corner of the triangle in hope to find some wildebeest, which will be nice because I've seen a total of 12 wildebeest today. And they were up on the escarpment. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, he's got a bit of a split. Yeah, we might be able to recognize him. Right, I'm going to see you all a little bit later. Hopefully once I've arrived at my destination. I'm going to send you all the way to South Africa now, to dear Tristan. And I wonder if there are any clouds looming in the sky.
There are some clouds looming in the sky, Taylor McCurdy, but they are fairly innocuous at this stage. They're a bit split apart, but sort of broken up. There's nothing really too threatening in these clouds, so I don't think we're going to get too much more rain. I think it was just that little bit that we had this morning, which was really not enough. Like I say, it's even settled the dust after the dryness that we've had over the last few months. So at this stage, I think we're going to have a nice weather this afternoon. At least the wind has dropped. So the difference between yesterday and today, and why probably today has been a little bit more successful in terms of the types of animals that we're seeing and the sort of more species that are for what we're seeing, is because the wind is down. So as soon as the wind gets up, a lot of the animals try and find cover. We got lucky that we had the Nkuhuma Pride and that the sticks made a kill. But if we didn't have that, it would have been quite a difficult day at the office. But today, no wind, and we're seeing that the leopards are out because I believe Tingana was seen this morning, Quarantine was seen this morning, Hosanna was seen this morning. There was tracks for Tamba as well, so there's a lot of leopards moving around, and hopefully that means that we will find them at some point this afternoon as well. And I'm right near where this lioness was this morning. Buttons, you are asking about the buffalo, if they came into Djuma. Unfortunately not. What happened with the buffaloes, they went back into Manyeleti, so they crossed west into Manyeleti, but I've just heard the update now that they've come back again into Buffelshoek, and they are slowly kind of moving in an easterly direction. Now, in terms of how far they are away from the boundary, they're about 800 to 900 meters north of the boundary itself, and there's no visual from our boundary with them, but I believe the herd is big. The guys say it's a very big herd, so I don't know exactly how many is in it, but they say very big, which I'm hoping means at least 300 plus in that herd, which is good news. Now, the interesting part about it is the way that they're walking. They're about to walk themselves into an unknown pride of lions that is hanging around in Buffelshoek, right on the Manyeleti boundary at the moment, and they think it might be the Telematis, which is the first time I've heard of them in a long time. Apparently there's 3 sub-adult males that are around sort of 2.5, 3 years old, and then there's some younger cubs around a year old, and then 3 or 4 lionesses, something like that. So interesting to see how many there are, and to see what the actual story is, and whether or not they walk straight into those lions, and if those lions then push the buffalo herd southwards back towards us, which will be quite nice. Right, now let's see. There's the termite mound over there, so I'm hoping she's moved slightly out of where we had her this morning, because this morning wasn't so pleasant where she was lying. It was really quite dense. It was nice when the cubs were suckling, because we could see their little faces and we could watch them moving around, but I'm hoping that this afternoon she's moved a little bit. She's gotten herself into a place where we can see her quite nicely, and that the cubs will be there as well. I have an idea though that she might have left in these cool conditions like we see now. She might have moved on, and if that's the case, then we're going to be leaving the area immediately. With these cubs, we're not here to try and stress them out in any way. We just want to come and view them with mom, and if mom's not here, then that's the end of that, I'm afraid. Then we have to leave the area and leave them to themselves. Okay, so doesn't look like mom is home at this stage. Just want to go forward a little bit. No, I don't think she's here. I want to just check around slightly because... Oh, there she is. I can see her. You can see her, Senzo. Now, if you want to see what camouflage is like on a line, do you see where she is? We're going to see how long it takes Senzo to spot this. But, Senzo, if you go that big tall tree in front of me, right over there is where she's sitting in the long grass. So she's just can see her face ever so slightly. It might from your angle be a bit tough, but if you zoom in for me just over there, you'll see just how camouflaged this lioness is. Go, 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 go. A little bit up to your left. Up, up, and there she is. You see her just behind the trees there? There's her back and her head. Incredible. It's amazing the camouflage of a lioness. So you can see why they're difficult to spot sometimes, but luckily she put her head up for us, and that's why we were able to see her. I wonder if the little cubs are this side, or if she's left them behind me here in the drainage, and she's now going to start her movement back towards the Inkuhuma Pride and back towards the west where the rest are. But it would be nice if the little cubbies are out here, because it's going to be very open and we will get a nice view of those little ones from here. And at least she's around. I mean, it's better that she's around. She might do one last suckle, but I don't see any signs of the cubs. And also, I should be in first gear, not in third gear. Otherwise, we're going to stall. No, the little cubs I don't think are here. We would have seen little heads popping up already. So I think they're behind me and back at the den site where she was suckling them. And she's now starting her movement back towards the rest of the pride. So there we go. She's just lying on her own and is taking it a little easy. I'm sure she's been suckling them, she's groomed them, she's made sure that they're well fed, and is making sure that they're going to be okay. And once they're all right, they're fed, they're groomed, looked after, then she's going to now start, like I say, heading back to the pride to be able to see if she can go and get some nutrients for herself. Remember, these little ones are going to drink from her, and they're going to absorb a lot of the nutrients that she's able to produce, and therefore she's going to have a tough time of it. And she's starting to yawn, which means I think she's going to start moving already. I don't think it's going to be too long that she's going to be up and going. Mallow, you want to know how long until the cubs join the pride permanently? Probably another, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks until they'll be joining the pride and moving around, and even then they'll only join for carcasses. In terms of actually walking with the pride, generally it's at about 6 months that they'll start to kind of move with the pride all the time. And there we go, up she gets. You can see she's a little on the skinny side, which is because she's having to move a lot more than the rest of the pride. She's having to go back and forth. You probably find she's also not getting as much nutrients because she's missing out on some of the kills. And so it's a tough life being a mom. But off she goes now. She's going to start striding her way, I think, back towards the west and towards where she came from last night. So it's going to be a long walk back that way. Unless the cubs are hidden somewhere there, but I don't think so. Sparto, you're asking what time they usually hunt. Well, there's no specific time for lions or leopards or any of the cats to hunt. They're opportunistic animals. Opportunistic animals, which means that they will hunt as soon as they can, when they can. Any opportunity that comes along, they will take it, whether that be night, day, sunrise, sunset, hot, cold, doesn't matter. They just hunt whenever they can and whenever an opportunity presents itself. So could be now she might start hunting. If she sees an impala by herself, you never know, she might try and hunt it by herself. But in all likelihood, she's probably going to go to the rest of the pride, and they'll then want to start hunting this evening. So we saw last night when we got to the Nkumaa pride around sunset, that's when they woke up and started to move. But she's definitely left the cubs now. The cubs must be in the den. They must be happy there, and it's okay. We got to see them this morning, and it'll be interesting just to follow her along. I don't think we're going to be able to keep her for all the time because she's going to cross a very bad drainage at some point. So we're going to just follow her anyway, though, and see how she goes and whether or not she goes all the way to the west, because that's going to be a very, very long way to get to where that is. Now, while I follow her, let's go back to Brent and see how he's doing on his quest for some of the tawny cats.
Well, we went looking for cheetah, and we've come across lions, two lovely ladies of the sausage pride. As I said, you never know what you're going to find, and as you can see, there's some potential meals in the background walking through, some zebra in the distance. Now, I haven't seen these girls stand up yet, so I'm not sure how skinny they are or how hungry they are. Oh, there goes Madam McCurdy rushing past us at a rate of knots. There she goes. There we go. Let's have a look. There, you can see Taylor. There she goes. Now, it's not too often we actually see each other out here because it is so big and we cover such vast distances that we can sometimes go a couple of days without actually seeing another vehicle down on the valley floor. Bye, Taylor. Now, Taylor, as I said, is heading down to the southeast, and she's hoping that some of the wildebeest have crossed around Lookout Hill. And I think we're going to stay local. We're going to sit with these girls. I think Jamie had them on a zebra kill a few days ago, but they could be hungry. They do have quite a few cubs to feed. Last count, I think it was 9 in total between the different lionesses of the sausage pride. So we've only got 2 lionesses here. The cubs are probably up closer towards the escarpment. There's a few spots that they really like to hide the cubs in, and so who knows, maybe they'll head that way, or maybe they'll wait for the zebra to come a bit closer. Now, there are quite a lot of zebra around, so there's by no means a shortage of food for the sausage pride. Oh, there's some ellies as well, and in the distance we got all happening here. Yeah, so there we go, elephants, and almost just to the southwest of us. can hear lots of wonderful sounds apart from the wind. Lots of frogs after that massive amount of rain we had yesterday. You can hear some dwarf paddle frogs. You can hear a guttural toad somewhere. Oh, Ferg's found a bird. Oh, there it goes. It was looked like a green or wood sandpiper. I didn't get a good enough look. What has Fergus found now? You found a frog? Oh, he's showing a amount of water. Scotty is wondering, can the zebras not see the lioness? Not if they're not moving. If they're sitting still like they are at the moment and at that distance, they're probably not going to spot the lions. You never know. There's a chance. But there looks like a little zebra argument going on over there at the back with that little group. In family discussion about where to go. Now that'll be the stallion. There we go. Kick. That'll be the stallion trying to sort out his ranks. So with zebras, it's absolutely fascinating. The oldest female must lead, and if she doesn't, and one of the younger females tries to lead, he will bite and kick the rest of the harem into place. So even once that oldest female is way out in front, there will be a set order that he likes the rest of the herd to follow in, and the stallions will generally bring up the rear. Now, it's not always the case, but quite often the case, and especially when they're moving in straight lines. There will be lots of... Oh, at the back, he's sorting someone out again. There you go. Someone's out of place, kicking and biting, making sure they stay in place. Now, zebras can be really, really aggressive. And here we go, and waiting. Let's see if anyone steps out of line. And I'll get sorted out quickly. Now, we can never be 100% certain, but it's generally thought that the oldest female leads. She's got the most experience in avoiding predators, so that's the reason why she leads at the front, and that's why the stallion wants to try and make sure that his harem isn't less one come time that they come into estrus, and of course he wants to have as many babies as possible. The zebras are a bit far at the moment for the lions to sort of spring up immediately and start stalking. Also, the terrain isn't in their favor. You can see, especially now that it's still light, very short open grass there, and they would definitely be spotted if they got up and started walking towards where the zebra are heading. OD Farming is wondering, is there a tourist on the back of our vehicle with it? No, OD, that is our Askari or our ranger. When we operate after park times, we have to have a park ranger with us. So the third person on the back of Taylor's vehicle was Sammy, who's one of the rangers who comes out with us at night. So no visitors, just cameramen. And who's on? Oh, it's Craig and Taylor and Sammy, their ranger for the evening. Well, these lions look like they're going to hunker down for a bit. And here's some upset lapwings in the distance. Scotty would like to know, will a zebra herd assist another zebra that's being attacked? Depends on the situation. A male or female zebra from the same harem will attack something small like a hyena or a cheetah, or even a leopard. Wild dogs sometimes that are attacking a member of their herd, but with lions they won't. They'll generally move off as fast as possible. I'm sure as it gets... Oh, what's that? Is that a warthog walking this way? Now, you see where I'm looking, folks? So just to the right of the lions. So, yeah, zoom now, a little bit more to the right. There we go. About center frame now. What is that there? Oh no, that's not. Oh, it's a secretary bird, and she's getting bombarded. That's what all the commotion from the lapwings are. So of course, if they've got little chicks there, secretary bird is a predator, and although they normally eat snakes and lizards and rodents, a baby lapwing would go down quite the treat. You can see how upset all the birds are. It looks like, I can't see at this distance what the smaller birds are, probably testiculars, are also very upset with her presence in the area. You can see how that crown is up, agitation, flustered from being attacked. Here comes the next load of bombardment coming. I think she's out of the danger zone. So obviously where the chicks or the eggs are, the secretary bird has moved beyond, so they're not attacking her as aggressively. So let's head all the way back to South Africa to find out what Tristan is up to.
Well, our lioness has gone stationary for the time being. She's just having a little sit down. We haven't gotten too much further than where we were just now. She kind of moved along, lay down, and then was up again, and now down for a little bit. I don't think she's going to be down for too long. You can see she's still looking around and is quite awake. She's staring into the distance and checking what's going on, and she's really not that sleepy, quite wide-eyed as you can see there. So I don't think she'll be down for too much longer. I'm pretty sure she's going to be up and moving, and she's got a long way to go from where I gather the Nkuhuma Pride is. They're close to the Simbambili Arethusa cut line, but quite far to the west, so she's got a long trek in order to find them. I'm sure she's hoping that they're going to come east. Oh, I spoke too soon. It's now down to sleep again, but I'm sure they hoping they come east, and then I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a buffalo is on the menu at some point. Hopefully, like I said, that pride of lions in the north chases those buffaloes south and into the waiting jaws of the Nkuhuma Pride here on Djuma, because that would just be the perfect way for our evening to play out. Of course, the Nkuhuma Pride would probably only hunt that buffalo way after drive, but tomorrow morning even, it's fine. The Nkuhuma Pride can wait until the morning, and as we get going, then the buffalo can come and we can have a showdown between the two of them. And judging by the looks of the pride, they really could do with a nice big meal. It's amazing though how lions can go from emaciated and thin and looking a little bit on the sort of side of skinny to completely fat and healthy after one meal. We saw the Styx Pride yesterday and how they were big barrels after their waterbuck, and it would be the exact same for the Nkuhumas. If we had to get a buffalo carcass for them, they would be massive by the time they finished it. They would be really in great condition again. So muscular structure is really good. It's just that she's a little bit on the skinny side because of all this moving that she's been doing up and down. So I'm pretty sure she will hope for a buffalo carcass, because it means that she can have a good feed, come and suckle the cubs, go back, feed again, and keep that nutrient level up for these little ones so that they stay fat, happy and healthy, which is what we want as well. We want our cubs to be healthy and to survive. And you know, she's in a period now where it's the most dangerous part for these cubs. The first 3 months is very difficult for a lioness. She's got to go back and forth, and she expends masses of energy trying to look after these little ones and trying to keep up with the pride and keep nutrient levels up, and then still supply that to the cubs and make sure that they're surviving well, as well as choosing the right places to leave them in order for them to stay safe. You can see now she's leaving those cubs all on her own. She's going to go and try to get back to the pride, and those cubs are going to have to fend for themselves for the next 24 hours or so until she comes back. Hopefully it won't be 24 hours. They generally should be coming back every sort of 12 hours. We see them moving backward and forth, but it could be 24 hours, a full day, until she gets back to where they are. And then you'll find a situation where she's got to provide nutrient-rich milk for them to survive, and who knows what moves through here at that time. There could be hyenas that come through, leopard, other lions, and so those cubs are really at a dangerous point in life. The other problem that she's got is that she's the only lioness denning. Remember last year when the Nkuhuma Pride denned, there was 2 lionesses pretty close together that denned, and then a third one about a month later, so it wasn't really too long until the third one was, and so those 3 could help each other and share the responsibility, and they also moved around as a unit, which meant that hunting wise they were able to bring down small prey animals, and also the drought helped in that they could bring down buffalo, and that meant that the cubs grew quickly because these guys were providing nutrition for them, and they were able to kind of stay in close proximity, which is a little bit different to what we're seeing this year. OD Farming, you're wondering why she's the only lioness with the cubs. Well, it's quite simple, is that the 3 lionesses that we know have the cubs currently, so those sub-adults, and they're still dependent on those lionesses. So those lionesses are not going to come into estrus probably for another, I would say, 6 months to a year, maybe even longer, until they'll come into an estrus and start mating again. So it's going to be a while if all those cubs survive, or all those sub-adults survive. So those lionesses are going to be a while. The only other 2 lionesses is this one and Amber Eyes. Amber Eyes, we don't know. I mean, we've never really seen her with a cub. There was that one mystery cub in the middle of the year, I think it was in June, that no one's really sure what happened or where it came from or what its outcome was. But that could theoretically have been Amber Eyes' cub, and must have been Amber Eyes' cub if we think of the time frame, because this lioness must have been pregnant at the time. And so that cub, unfortunately, is no longer. There's no ways that cub is alive, and it means then that Amber Eyes really is the only other female that could potentially have a chance to have cubs, and she would have had to have mated, which means that she's falling outside of the time that this female is having cubs. So even if she's mating now, it's still going to be 3 months' time until she gives birth to hers, and so it's they haven't been quite in sync. So that's why she's the only lioness with the cubs currently, or new cubs. There's no real sort of other lionesses that can potentially produce now and in the time frame while she's having hers. So, I mean, Amber Eyes, it would be such a nice thing if she did produce cubs, but as far as we know, she never has, and it will be really interesting if she ever will, because I suppose that little cub was hers. I mean, it can't be anybody else's. If we just do the maths, it has to be her cub, because this lioness, there's no way she could have mated and fallen pregnant and had these cubs in that time frame. We're far too close to that time for her to have mated again and had cubs. So it has to have been Amber Eyes' cub, and maybe she can produce cubs, and in the future we will see her bringing cubs up and raising cubs. When we saw her yesterday, she did have signs that she'd been mating, but a few bite marks on the back of the neck, and so I wonder if maybe she hasn't started mating again, and we'll see her falling pregnant. It would be nice if she did, and it would be also nice for this female if she then denned in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks, if she had fallen pregnant from the mating and was in this area and helping this female out. Because it's interesting that Amber Eyes and this female must have had a very tight bond last year, because when the Nkuhuma Pride spent so much time here on Djuma, we used to find Amber Eyes and this female often roaming around together in random places. Even the beginning of this year, used to see these 2 around Treehouse Dam, moving around all over the place, and so they seem to have gotten on and have formed a bond over the fact that they didn't have cubs. And so it would really, I think, help this female if Amber Eyes was around with her, and I'm sure the 2 of them together would really do very well in raising cubs should they want to. So it would be really nice if she did fall pregnant and have cubs in this sort of time period, and obviously for the growth of the Nkuhuma Pride, the more females that have cubs, the better. But either way, it's out of 5 lionesses, to have 4 of them with cubs currently is really very good, and is a testament to the Birmingham's ability to defend the area. Oh, Laura Moy is saying, you wonder why lions don't bring food to a lioness with cubs. Wolves do it, and the painted dogs or wild dogs, they also will do those kind of things. Well, the thing is about it is because the lionesses, it depends. At the moment, the rest of the lionesses, they're trying to protect their cubs that are at the carcass themselves. So coming back all the way here, expending the energy, leaving that carcass unprotected or bringing bits of that carcass all the way here is difficult. Remember also that lions are hunting big animals. They hunt something like a buffalo. There's no ways that the Nkuhuma Pride can drag a buffalo from Simambili all the way to where we are now. I mean, that's over sort of 7-8 kilometers, and a buffalo weighs almost 2,000 pounds. So even if the entire pride took turns, I can guarantee you they wouldn't even get halfway in a day. So it's going to be, that's the other side of it, is taking food like that is almost impossible. And then the third thing is, if you take food to a den, you are taking a scent to a den. So you're taking the smell of meat and rotting meat, and that means that sort of predators and scavengers are going to follow that scent and come in, and it's going to bring things like hyena, lion, leopard into where the den site is for that female, and it's going to put those cubs at risk. So rather than that, they eat, they make sure that they consume meat, that then gets pushed into the milk nutrients then get transferred to the cubs grow very fast during that first little period, and once they reach that 3-4 month phase, they're then starting to be taken to the carcasses. So the mother comes and fetches them and then walks them all the way to the carcasses, and then they will stay and spend time there, and then they'll follow the moms around. So it's much better system that way. She can look after them a lot better, and they're not also being at carcasses where things like hyenas can arrive and they then endanger. This way she's bringing no scent, she's not having any vultures around, she can suckle them in peace, and there's really little that's going to follow her. You'll also find she's going to use different pathways to get you. She's never going to walk exactly the same, and that means that the hyenas won't be able to track her scent every single time. So she'll go west this time, tomorrow she goes south, the next day she's north, and so it makes it a lot harder for the hyenas to pinpoint where she's coming and going from, and therefore the cubs survive. So there's all method in their madness. Remember also, with den animals like wild dogs and wolves, there is generally one member that is left permanently with the cubs, or the pups should I say, and they can then sort of disorientate a predator and lead a predator away from that area. Lions don't have that ability to do that because they are needed with the hunting, and like I say, they roam quite big distances and they don't use a central point for the den. The den is fairly mobile and gets moved all over the place, as opposed to what we see with things like wolves and wild dogs, where there's a central den and then the pack moves around that area. So just slightly different with them, and it works for both species. Lions are fairly successful. We've seen that, their numbers within the Sabi Sands are doing okay. It's just that we've had a lot of different males come through, and that's what's affected them. In terms of den sites and actual females keeping cubs alive, it's actually not been too bad. The Sabi Sands, most of the females are pretty good at what they do. It's just, unfortunately, the coalition males have been such a sort of swift turnover that's led to a decline in the population of lions and a decline in all the prides throughout the Sabi Sands, really. There's not many prides that have actually grown in the time that I've been here. In fact, the only prides that have grown since I've been here is the Mungen Pride, the Mungen Breakaway Pride, and the Salalas. Those are the only ones that have actually in some way expanded. Every other pride has actually reduced and has no longer the same numbers as to when I started here. So it's an interesting dynamic, and like I say, it's because of the change in coalition males that keep coming through. Alita, you're asking if lionesses from the pride will come back for these cubs if this lioness dies. In all likelihood, no. And the reason why I say that is because none of those females currently have very small cubs. If there was a female that had very small cubs, then it's possible. And there have been sort of outlying cases where females have adopted the offspring of sisters or aunts or mothers or whatever the case may have been. And we know the Charleston female down the south, she adopted her sister's cubs and raised them. So they do it sometimes, but in the case of the Charleston female, her cubs got killed, and I think that mothering instinct, when her cubs got killed, plus the mother of the other cubs, meant that she took on cubs because she was still producing milk. That instinct to mother was still there, and that's why she did it. If it was a lioness that has got older sub-adults that she's still dependent on her, she's not going to now have the burden of trying to suckle cubs because she's not producing milk. Remember, she's got her own cubs to worry about, and so these cubs are still too young to survive without milk. They still need milk up until they're around 6-7 months old, so they need to have a female that's producing milk in order to save them. They're not going to survive just on meat at this age. They need that milk, and they need all the antibodies and the all the bits of nutrients that the mom is passing on that's going to help them fight infections and get their digestive tracts working properly, and all of those kind of things. That's all needed before they're able to start consuming meat full time. And it means that, she's got to, unfortunately, unless there's another lioness that has cubs fairly soon and is producing milk, these ones would then be unfortunately left by themselves and not looked after at all. Right, our Nkuhuma female is out cold, so I think we're going to carry on. We're going to leave her be. I was hoping that the cubs would be here. We know that Brent Leo Smith in the Mara has got 2 lionesses there, and it seems like they're on the hunt, so we're going to try and find a spotted creature of our own, and while those lionesses look for food.
Well, we're still with the 2 girls from the Sausage Pride. They have not moved a muscle. Oh, there we go. She's moved a muscle. I think it's the biting insects that have caused her to move. Lots of biting flies, and we had a hot day today after the rain last night, which will have caused an absolute explosion of insect life. And speaking of that, right next to us, I don't know, can we make them out? There are thousands of little midges. Now, of course, we're right near some water as well. So, with water and rain and sun comes lots of chochos. For those of you who don't know what chochos are a very sort of a South Africanism, sort of a nickname for bugs. Trying to think. Well, in Swahili they are called dudus. That is the Swahili word for insects or bugs, dudus. When we were little kids, we used to call them nunus. Now, you'll notice as that tail flicks occasionally out of the grass, it's got a very distinct black tuft. Alyssa is wondering, why is the tuft of a lion's tail black? Well, it's lots of different reasons actually. So, but all of them to do with non-vocal communication. So they're able to signal. Cubs are able to follow that through thick grass, and when they're hunting, the black behind their ears and the black tips of their tails are used as ways to communicate. Now, I was talking about bugs. Just look on her belly there. Look at that. As I said, the biting flies are out in force after the rain. And fortunately for us, they are on the lions and not on us, because I think I'd be slapping myself silly trying to get rid of that many flies on me. There you go, you can see she's getting a little bit flustered by them. And that's one of the reasons why quite a few different prides in the Mara like to climb trees. It's to try get up into the breeze and away from all the biting bugs. Oh, very pretty on the horizon, Ferg. A tipple skirch. It's going to be silhouetted again shortly. You see him walking there. Very, very pretty. There's a giraffe walking a little bit to the left. There should go. There we go. A little bit to the right. There it is. Silhouetted against the lovely orangey pink hue of the western horizon. Now come on, keep walking for the pretty shot. Don't stop for a snack. Yeah, female Maasai giraffe. Oh, there's a few there. Now, I could only see with my naked eye the one that was silhouetted. And there's quite a few snacking around that area. Difficult to see what they're eating on from this distance, I'm afraid. They're probably 700 or 800 meters away from us. Paul is wondering, do we wear any specific type of bug spray while we're on drive? We don't, Paula. Bug spray is pretty much ineffectual against most of the really nasty biting insects. Occasionally I might use some mosquito repellent, but very, very seldom, and not really here. Here we go, a lovely herd of elephants as well, having a late evening snack. It's amazing how much you can see if you're sitting in one spot and you just carefully check all around. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm having a quick scan with my binoculars, seeing if there's something we might have missed. It doesn't look like it, just some zebra, topi, and a pair of Egyptian geese. And you can hear that blip. That's a bubbling casina starting to wake up. As I said, we're right next to where Lugga drains out into the Old Japetta swamp. So we're probably going to hear lots of frogs this evening. And you can see, there we go, a great spot to be if you're a frog. And the frogs are probably one of the only things that are celebrating after all the rain last night. Is that a frog you found there, Ferg? No, I think it's algae. I thought Ferg had found a frog. There's a little click, 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 clicking of stream frogs, and it sounds like puddle frogs, and then you've got that lovely sort of liquid chortle of the bubbling casina, and a not so lovely wah, wah, wah of one of the toads. I'm not sure exactly which. It sounds a little bit too soft to be guttural raucous. And of course there could be a whole host of toad species for me to learn in East Africa. Now, our lions are still not moving at all. A slight head up every now and then. But not looking like they're about to charge off and go look for something else. Now, quite often at this time of the day, it's not good to be a warthog, and quite a few warthogs sort of get snacked at this time of the day because they're on their way home, and their home could be amongst any of the many termite mounds that are around here, and they can stumble upon a lion that's fast asleep. But of course, these big cats can wake up in a split second. It's not even a... Oh, there we go, as I said. Now let's have a look at the belly. Oh, not too hungry, but definitely could eat. I actually think that didn't have a good look. She looked like it might be carrying that weight quite far back. Who knows, maybe she's pregnant. But I think it was the flies that caused her to just move and flop a few meters away. This lioness is practicing Zen with the flies, trying to completely ignore them. Now, of course, as I said, there's quite a lot of zebras and things around. And you can actually see the wear on the edge of the ears from the biting flies. So the animals here are bitten so prolifically that the hair starts to fall out in certain spots where those flies are biting. I'm glad they're biting her and not me. They can be quite painful, those little biting flies. So there's not even a breath of wind. We're starting to get some lovely bird song coming through. I can hear rufous-naped lark. I can hear yellow-throated longclaw. you can hear a black-bellied bustard. Oh, and as I say that, the wind has picked up and I can't hear any more of the birds. Well, it seems like Tristan's been on such a cat streak, he's decided to go see if he can find something else. Let's go find out.
So thanks very much for that, Senzo, because my comms are not working once again. Our broken earpiece seems to be at its finest effort once again. So it's interesting, though, to see the differences between the lions in the Mara and the ones here. I was watching some footage this morning. They look absolutely massive, some of them. Some of them look like cubes, as Lou says, walking through the grass. And it's been amazing just to see how different the dynamics are and how fluid the movement is during the migration. It's a lot more fluid than what we see from our lions. Our lions tend to be very stacked together. So quite interesting sort of differences that side. And I'm super jealous of Taylor this afternoon already, because she's got to see those black rhinos. And, well, obviously black rhino here is the most rare and special thing possible. So we see very, 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 very few black rhinos in the Kruger National Park system, unfortunately. So and she's very fortunate to have got to spend some time with them this afternoon, which is good. Like I say, I'm envious of her, although I'm pretty sure she's going to be envious if we find Hosanna just now, because we know Taylor also loves her spotted cats as well. I believe she got to see a leopard in the Mara the other day, which is fantastic. And she's seen all kinds of interesting things, the serval with the hyena on the wildebeest, and the striped polecat, and lots of crazy things have gone Miss McCurdy's way over the last little bit, and I'm sure she's having an absolute blast that side, as well as Jamie and Brent, and it's one of the more louder groups of people together now. Ali, you're hoping to find Shadow and her cub. Ali, I know the guys checked for her this morning, so the guys had a little look and they checked in those areas around Mendoza Road and Impala Plains, Triple M, but unfortunately no sign of her at all. So I think she might still be in either Arethusa or in Hoffman's, somewhere in those areas. It's difficult though to know for sure. We know that she can be quite elusive, so no sign on our side though at the moment. It would be nice to find her though. Certainly would love to see Shadow and the cub again. But I think the one that I want to see the most right now is probably Shongile. That's the female that I would like to see more than any other. I did say last night that if we don't see her and she's staying safe, then that's absolutely fine. But I would really like to see her and really like to spend some time in her general company and just see how she's doing, and just to know that she's okay. It's just one sighting would be fine, and then she can go back to being elusive again. Now, before I go anywhere, there is something that does not belong here in the Sabi Sands, and certainly does not belong on the grounds or in the bush, and that is a plastic packet. And so I don't know how this has gotten here, but it is going to not be picked up by us quickly. And Iceman purified ice is certainly not what we want to see out here. Like I said, I'm not quite sure how this got here, but, well, it's going to stay in the car from now on. And we make sure that it doesn't blow away, Senzo, so if you can tuck it in there somewhere so that it just stays, that would be pretty good as well. Sometimes what happens is with the wind, when the guys come to fetch the rubbish, because we get trucks that come, then sometimes a little wind gusts and off goes a bit of it, or monkeys raid a bin, or hyenas raid a bin, and then these plastic bags end up, unfortunately, out here. So it's our prerogative just to kind of pick them up and make sure that we keep this as clean as possible and litter free. This is ultimately the animals' home, not ours, and so we should not impose ourselves too much on them. I thought we were going to have a lot more of a sort of sunnier afternoon. It seems as though it was a lot more, was clearing up at lunchtime, but it's now gotten all overcast and dingy again. I wonder if we will get a sunset. I'm hoping that the clouds do clear, because if we do get a sunset, then we're going to have a situation where it's going to be very pretty with all these clouds lighting up the different colors, and we're going to get a really nice clear kind of view of the sun. RR, you're asking if the roads are made randomly or if they're made by the rangers. Well, RR, the roads are made by basically the landowner, and some of the ecology guys that come together and they try and work out where the best places for roads are. Unfortunately, back in the day, we didn't quite understand a lot of the dynamics within the bush environment and what it takes for roads to be built and where they should be in order to not cause environmental damage. And so some roads are not quite in the right place, but generally there's some planning that goes into them, and then they are built by the ecology teams or even the rangers sometimes as well. So it is a planned thing. These are not just by mistake and not just tracks that are made. These are all planned roads. You will see sometimes little two tracks that go into places, so it looks as though vehicles have driven there. That's generally when we've had a big sighting that's lasted a few days, then a road develops, which is generally because there's been multiple cars going in and out and the grass gets squashed. But as soon as the rain comes, that all rejuvenates and spruces up again, and up comes the grass and everything looks all right and wonderful. I'm just trying to adjust the blankets that I sit on, because the blankets that I sit on are helping me. I don't know, I'd like to be a little higher, and the seats on Wendy and Rusty, both of them, they seem to have lost a lot of their sponge, and you kind of sink into them, and when I got out there the blanket didn't quite go right, and so I had to just adjust that quickly. My apologies for me bouncing around in my seat like a hooligan. The reason why I've come down this road though is because I want to quickly just check on our Wahlberg's eagle pair, if they at the nest. I did see them on my way home this morning after drive. They were sitting in the nest, and not in the nest, they were just next to it, and it was the pale form individual that was there. The dark form one was flying above, but the pale form one was actually there, and that's the one that seems to be on the nest a lot more. We saw it yesterday on the nest, and so hopefully in this kind of weather, being a little bit sort of dingy and grey and dull, maybe one of them will be somewhere where the nest is, and hopefully we can get a view of them. They are beautiful birds, particularly that pale form one. She or he, depending which one it is, very difficult to sex a Wahlberg's eagle. There's no difference between male and female, and so it would be really nice. In fact, both of them are here. I can see them already. I'm just going to try go a little bit forward so we get a better view of them. Hopefully they won't fly away. No, stay there, guys. And they're unfortunately going to be a little bit silhouetted because of where they're sitting and the white sky that we've got, or grey-white sky that we've got today. But there they are, sitting on top of the tree itself, although they look like both pale form individuals. Or am I wrong? They do look both pale. Are they both pale? It certainly looks that way. Has our dark form male been chased, or dark form female been traded for a pale form individual? Looks like it. Looks like the plot has thickened. That's interesting. It's definitely two pale form individuals that are busy grooming each other, and it's too early in the season to have a young one already. We know that these guys have only just arrived, so it can't be the chick, but that is really quite strange, because this morning there was the dark form and the pale form together, but you can clearly see there that is two pale form individuals that are grooming each other, and I wonder if maybe the dark form male has been ousted, which would be very unusual. Generally eagles pair for life, so really quite strange. I'm not sure why the dark form male would relinquish this area, or even there would be territorial bouts between them. That's very strange. I honestly say it's the first time I've seen it with Wahlberg's eagles, because generally all the nests that we have in these areas are the same pairs every year. You come and you see the same groupings. I mean, obviously it's quite difficult to tell individuals apart, but you know, the combinations are normally, you can tell because they have these different color forms, and you can normally tell who's who by just looking at those color forms and where they are. And like I said, we know for sure that there was a dark formed one with this light formed one yesterday in the morning and in the afternoon and this morning, so very confused as to why those two are together. I hope something bad didn't happen to our dark formed Wahlbergs. That's not good. I don't know. Well, I suppose two pale form ones are beautiful, but I would have liked it to stay the same and to have the same pair as we always do. But interesting dynamic. I'm going to have to do a bit of research on this. I wonder if Wahlberg's eagles do fight for pairs and will try go after each other. So, Megs, I cannot hear you at all. All I'm getting is every half a word, every 3-4 seconds, which is not ideal. So we're going to try and see if we can fiddle with these comms and try and get this right, because otherwise I can't answer any of the questions that you're all asking, which is not ideal. Megs, can we try again? Maybe we can do a little... Roshni, you saying a triangle love story. So there we go, I can copy Megan now. It seems like it. I doubt the dark form male is going to, or female is going to be very impressed with this triangular love story, given that it's not here. But very strange. Like I say, I'll have to do a bit more research. It's the first time I've seen a situation where there's been a individual usurping another and taking over, unless this is a different pair and they've taken this nest for themselves, and the dark form and pale one that we normally see here has moved to a different section. That potentially could happen. Maybe pairs fought and we've now just got a new pair in this area. But very strange indeed, and I'm going to, like I say, I have to do a lot more research on this and see if there's any documented findings on Wahlbergs, and whether it's pairs that fight or whether it's individuals within the ranks that will chase one another out and form a new pair. But it's unusual, to say the least. Rebecca, they only mate once in a year, so they mate now and then they have their young one, and their young one then obviously develops and then leaves here at the end of summer and then flies northwards. But they only breed once a year. At the end of the day, birds of prey, they're large, which means that they've got to incubate eggs for a while, and then the bird's got to learn how to fly, and that takes a bit of time. We know with vultures it's pretty much almost a year and a half, just over half a year for them to kind of get them out the nest. And so it's the same thing with the Wahlberg's eagles. It takes about 3-4 months for those birds to get up and moving and flying and being able to look after themselves. And so it's only one chick in the summer months, and then they don't breed when they go to the northern hemisphere. They just breed down here in South Africa. But very odd. Nice to see them, though. They are beautiful birds. Like I said, the pale form Wahlbergs are incredibly pretty. So nice to see them, and I'll try to get a little bit closer so we can get a bit of a closer view and see if we can get some sort of pattern on them, that we can recognize them in the future, and whether or not they're individuals that will stay here. And maybe some of you that are very clever and can see some sort of pattern or recognize some sort of markings on the feathers can work out whether it's one of the birds we saw yesterday or it's a different pairing of birds. It's definitely not the lights. Now that I'm closer, they most certainly are pale form, both of them. They're all fluffed up, obviously, because it's cold. And I was saying that it's not good conditions for flying, and that's why you'll find both of them are down at the moment and just resting on the tree. And look at the size of those talons on their feet. And long rectangular tails that will help them to be able to stabilize in flight, because remember, these birds hunt other birds. They're birds that hunt on the wing regularly, and so long tails need just to help them be agile. It's much like a cheetah has a very long tail, and it helps just to be able to turn on a dime and be agile as they move around. And so that's why you see such a long tail in these guys. Beautiful, though. Another mystery at Djuma. I'm not 100% sure why these two are here. Interesting, though, either way. So I'm going to try get around and see something quickly, because where they're sitting is off the nest a little bit. That's much better. Now, I've got no comms again, so there we go. I can just hear Megan every second word. It's getting worse, unfortunately, which is not good. Right, so we can quickly go across to Taylor, because I've missed my link completely, so let's go to her.
Purungat Bridge. We're not going to go across into the reserve, into the Maasai Mara National Park. We're going to stay this side. in the triangle. We just need to figure out whereabouts the wildebeest crossed. Now, I can't remember if Brent said they crossed on the eastern side of the eastern side of the bridge versus the western side of the bridge, but we'll have a quick look around. Hopefully we'll be able to find ourselves up on a vantage point of some sorts and then use our binoculars and scan around. There are lots of buffalo herds around at the moment, which I haven't seen any lions though, and plenty elephants around, although out here the lions haven't seemed to have acquired the taste for elephants. They prefer the wildebeest, zebra or warthog kind out here, and I suppose specifically warthog now. With most of the animals moving out of the triangle, they've got to go back to catching pigs. So we're just going to keep looking. As I keep reaching up on these rises, I'm starting to see the tree lines. So there must be little tributaries. We must be getting closer and closer to the Mara River. And hopefully we'll have some luck. It's going to be quite exciting out here if we can find some herds of wildebeest. I haven't really spent much time down the side. Brent has though. This is one of his favorite areas. And hopefully it'll become our favorite area too. But speaking of Brent, let's go back to him and see what his plans are for the rest of the evening.
Well, as you can see, our lions have decided it's much better to nap than do anything else. For the moment, at least. Now, you've got to remember that patience is the most important thing when you're out in the bush, because you never know what's going to happen next. Unsuspecting warthog might come careering in. Unknown pride of lions might come careering in and cause absolute havoc. So, sometimes we have to play the patience game and sit and wait for those incredible sightings. And not much else has changed. We've actually lost our elephants that were near us. They've moved off. The giraffe have disappeared. The only thing left is the Egyptian geese that are grazing comfortably out on that lovely short green grass where the little lugger empties out into the swamp. Oh, stretching. And I think we're going to lose them shortly as well as they fly off to find somewhere to roost. Now, the one thing that a lot of people don't realize, that an Egyptian goose is not, in fact, a goose at all. It is a form of shield duck, is actually what they are. But they are grazers, so they eat grass, so you'll find them munching along on any lovely short green grass. Now, I've seen something quite amazing, and I've only ever seen it once, and it was here a few weeks ago, or probably maybe even a few months ago now, and that was an Egyptian goose eating the stomach contents of a wildebeest that had been killed by lions, and quite a fresh kill. So the geese were eating the undigested grass that was left behind. Now, being the vast open grassland that it is, these geese might not even fly off to find somewhere to roost. They might just stay right where they are. Ilana, who's 14 years old, would like to know, have we seen any aardvark in the Mara? Oh, I've seen about 4 or 5. And we actually did a Facebook Live once on lions hunting aardvark. And that was quite special. That's definitely not something you get to see every day. Lions hunting aardvark. And that was actually just over the horizon over there. And it was the Egyptian goose pride. And they nearly got that aardvark. He managed to get down a hole, and then while the young male was trying to dig him out, the aardvark was digging at a much faster rate and kicking sand into the male's face. It was quite funny. But yes, no, we've seen quite a few aardvark. I've seen on both sides of the river, in fact. I've also seen the other art that lives here, which is the aardwolf. I saw one of those way down south near the Tanzanian border. I've seen striped polecat or zorilla, which is an African form of skunk. I've seen hedgehogs. What else have we seen? lots of funny little things at night. Caracal, serval. I've seen both side-striped and black-backed jackal, bat-eared fox, white-tailed mongoose, water mongoose. So I've seen quite a lot of the smaller nocturnal critters, genets, bush babies, the like. These lions are truly, truly flat. As I said, they're reasonably well fed, not too skinny. And I was hoping that all the zebra around, which have now gone, might prompt them to do something. So we might take a little wander just now and then come back here a little later, because it really doesn't look like these guys are going anywhere too soon. Wind is starting to pick up, but fortunately not bringing any rain towards us just yet. Well, we've got a new viewer who named Dakota, who is 15 years old. A big welcome to you, Dakota. Lovely to have you on the vehicle with us. And Dakota wants to know, how do we get so close to the lions? Well, Dakota, when we're in a vehicle, the lions don't know that there are people here. They do not have an evolutionary instinctive response to the vehicle. So the vehicle's only been around for just over 100 years. So if you drive carefully and considerately, it doesn't smell like anything nice to eat. It's too big, really, and they just ignore you after time. But it does take time to habituate them to vehicles. But if I were to get out of the car and start walking, we would definitely get a reaction. Now, it is still light, so they would probably run away. So lions are actually quite scared of people during the daytime hours, but at night they become a different animal, and they are the dominant nocturnal predator, and we are the dominant diurnal predator. So they'll eat us at night, but normally, unless you corner or put pressure on cubs or an injured lion during the day, they will try and move away from you on foot. That's why we can get very close to them in vehicles, because they don't recognize a vehicle when they recognize the human shape as the dominant daytime predator. Now, something we've got quite used to here is ominous skies. They seem to be around every evening since I've been back from leave, but it sounds like Tristan has got an ominous sky of his own all the way back in South Africa.
No, not really, Brenty. It's not too bad. Like I say, this morning it was ominous, and this morning there was big, dark clouds, and it really did look like we were going to get some rain at some point, and we got a few droplets here and there, but nothing too major, so it wasn't too bad this morning. But I would imagine now it's starting to separate out, and I think that's the end of the rain for us. The more I look up, the less likely it looks that we're going to get any more rain, and the fact that the wind's dropping and there's really no solid bank that's being gusted in by the wind means that I think we're done for the day, unfortunately, because remember, we'd love to have more rain. We need it. And I'm looking very carefully, because this is the area where I had those tracks for that young male leopard that was moving, and I had lots of alarm calls in this section, so I'm just checking very carefully as I'm going, in case little Tumba is maybe somewhere in this general vicinity as well and just hiding out. We know he likes it in this area, so just having a look around, checking some of the termite mounds and some of the trees. And he doesn't seem to be a cat that spends much time in the trees. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him in a tree. Have I? No, I don't think so. I don't think I've seen him in trees, but I've seen him on lots of termite mounds and in lots of riverbeds. So he seems to favor this Mulawati system. Maybe as a young individual, it's just more comfortable for him to be down there. It's interesting that I haven't seen him in a tree before. It's actually quite crazy when I think about it. Given how many sightings I've had of him, I would have thought that at some point I would have had him up a tree, but so far, no. Or have I? No, I don't think so. I'm trying to rack my brains, but I honestly don't think I've ever seen him up in a tree. But I think we are going to get a nice sunset. It looks as though the clouds are breaking on the western side and a little bit of colour starting to creep in that side, so hopefully we will get a good sunset. I'm just making my way towards Twin Dams as I go along, and like I said, I was looking for Tumba as we go, but our main goal is to get back to where I had Hosana this morning and see if he's sitting in the same place. I would imagine he is. I don't think he's going to have gone too far. He's an individual that once he's at Twin Dams generally spends the afternoon fairly relaxed and sleepy and doesn't actually move around too much, so I would guess he's going to be there. Whether or not he is, well, going to be all revealed in the next 2 minutes. So, George, you wondering what happened with Tumba and Hosana the other night when they faced off and what the outcome was? Well, George, it seems both of them just split amicably. We lost them fairly soon after the drive finished, so I was looking and I was trying, and unfortunately they went into a really dense thicket and there was just no way to keep up with them given how fast they started moving. They were kind of trotting after each other, and so I lost them with that regard, but they seem fine. Both have been seen since. I've seen both of them. Neither one is sporting a scar, a scrape, a scratch, any sort of limp. So I think what happened was Tumba ran into a thicket. Hosana lost him completely, and the two of them then just kind of split amicably, and that was the end of it. There was no major threat in it. And given that neither one is territorial yet, I don't think they're going to go after each other. Right, where are you, little Hosana? I don't see him anywhere though. He's not where we left him this morning. No, where are you? So he's not here where we left him. He was just on the left hand side when we left him this morning. Trying to check for him. Where have you gone? Maybe he's lying on the other side of the dam wall. Or is he in front here somewhere? Interesting. Well, we're going to have to scratch around and check for him, but I don't see him anywhere. Oh, there he is. He's sitting right in front of us. If he was a snake, as they say, he would have bitten me. So I'll just try and get down a little bit. But he is fast asleep at the moment. And he's in his usual spot that he seems to favor, which is just along the edge of the banks here and on the wall itself. I don't know why he likes it so much there, but he seems as though this is where he wants to spend his time. It was exactly the same place a few weeks ago, or a few days ago. He was lying really in the same way, just on the edge, and you can see he's still very relaxed. How we've missed him from far away, I have no idea. It just shows you their camouflage, because I was looking at the dam wall and I didn't see him until we got a little bit closer, and that's where he's sitting, just resting, and he looks fast asleep at the moment. But you can see no scratches on him anywhere on the rump area, so it seems as though him and Tumba just had a little face-off, investigated each other, a few snarls and hisses and growls, and to say, you're not my brother, you're not my relative, and I'm going to move on, and off I go. It was such an interesting interaction, though, between the two of them, because Tumba seemed to just really not care at all. He kind of saw Hosana approaching, and just carried on drinking. And then once Hosana got really close, then he started to display a bit submissively and kind of lie on his side and growl and hiss and show his teeth. But otherwise, they weren't too aggressive to one another. There was a bit of sniffing going on, and then they kind of chased each other around. So I think they're still in that young phase where they're not quite sure how to handle those interactions when they see one another, and when things get a little bit sort of hairy, and they just do what they're used to doing, which is chuffing and being submissive and keeping themselves alive that way. So it'll all change though once they start scent marking and once they start to go into that adult phase and testosterone is flooding. Then you'll find that they'll be far more aggressive to any opponent that they face. It might not be each other, but they will end up having to face off with some males somewhere, and you'll find that interaction will be a lot more aggressive and a lot more teeth and claws and all kinds of other things as they try and defend a territory or gain a territory first before they're defending anything. Some males have it easy. Some are like Quarantine, where he just bosses his way in, doesn't have to really fight with anybody. He just calls and scent marks, and there he is in position and has himself a territory. Others have to fight for it and earn the right to be territorial, and that takes a bit of time and effort. And so it's interesting just how the differences work between some of them. And so hopefully for Hosana and Tambe, I really hope either one of them that they get a nice territory and they don't actually have to worry about fighting too much, and they can get nice and settled and get big before they then actually start competing with other males. So that's what I hope. Chat Noir, you say such a beautiful cat. Hosana is beautiful. He's looking ever prettier. I think he's starting to lose the cub look, but he's starting to gain that sort of steely male look that they get, the more serious look. But he's got a nice coloured coat. I always liked Hosana's coat. It's a yellowy colour, and it's not as gold as what you see on Tumba. Tumba tends to have a darker gold colour than what Hosana does, but I like the colour of his coat, and he's got these eyes that are becoming more vibrant by day, and he is a joy to watch. And lately he's been endearing himself a lot more to all of us by the way that he's played around and messed around and done his thing. He's been very entertaining to watch, that's for sure. I remember him the other day with the stick that he had in his mouth, and he was playing with the stick and biting it, and so he is a very cool cat. And like I say, wherever he ends up, hopefully it is in this area, but if it's not, somebody is going to inherit a very, very special little chief in their area, and hopefully he'll become the big chief somewhere close by, and if not here, so that we can monitor him and know where he goes and what he gets up to. Because it's the worst thing about having young males is that you kind of invest all this time and you get so sort of emotionally attached to them, and then they shift off, and especially when they go into places like Kruger, and the sightings and the updates on them become so slim and few and far between that it's almost frustrating in a way, because you want to know how they're doing and want to know how they're progressing. And so it's nice when they end up inside a Sabi-San system or a Timbavati system where there's a lot of the commercial lodges that have constant updates on them. It really makes it a lot better and a lot easier for us to kind of know, okay, well, they're doing all right wherever they are. And I think that's the hardest part. We know Mishu and Duna, Shivambalana, all of those have dispersed into Kruger, and the sort of updates on them are very few and far between. There's one every now and then, but it's not exactly commonplace to see them. It's not like now with Hosana that we see him probably have some sort of update on him every day. If we're not seeing him, we know exactly where he is, or somebody else is seeing him on another property, so we can work out exactly what's going on. But look at the size of that massive front paw. It's getting bigger, and that head as well starting to get a little bit of a dewlap forming. You can see his skin is starting to hang a little bit from the chin. So he is growing and slowly but surely becoming the male that he needs to be. And so while we watch Hosana, let's go back to Brent with his lionesses and see what they're up to.
See, we didn't go for a bumble because there was some zebra distress calls in the distance, and the lions' heads popped up like they were going to move, but unfortunately it was very, very short-lived before those heads went straight down again. Oh, shame. Tired kitties. Probably had a few unsuccessful hunts and sleeping off the torrid time they might have been having, not being able to catch anything. So I think we are going to leave them now and go on a little bumble, and we'll come back to them a little bit later. Now, we had one cloud over us. I think it was that one. It also rained all over us. Not really too hard, but enough to start me worrying slightly, because it sort of came out of nowhere, and that happens quite often in the dark. So you're sitting there with lions, the vehicle's open, everything's wonderful, and then you just hear this dump on your roof, and you go, I can't see any stars, this is the problem. And then you get dump, and then you have to rush to try and pull the tent down, and that generally means you've got to drive away from the lions. Of course, we don't want to be running around putting our tents down next to the lions, and it sometimes can be quite comedic. Getting a bit chilly. Shuka over my legs. Now, as most of you know, I like my birds quite a lot, and Roshni is wondering how different is the birding during the different seasons. Well, Roshni, I suppose I haven't spent a full year here yet, so I can't tell you for sure. But in the summer season, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the migrants around. But I would say a lot of the Mara bird species are resident, and that's due to the weather here. Lots of water all year round, so it is quite nice. Oh, there we go. There's Alfred. Let me say hello quickly. Hi, Alfred. Very good in yourself. Any lions apart from the ones there under the Angamas?
I saw at the crossing point, but they were on the opposite side.
On the other side. Ah, okay.
There was some witnesses there.
Okay. Maybe tomorrow.
I saw you. Where did you get the cheetah?
Just one. It was over here.
No, I saw on the page.
Oh, that's on Rhino Ridge. Very beautiful, yes. So Alfred's been watching, and he said he saw Jamie with the cheetahs this morning. Okay, well, good luck. I'm going to go see if I can find the rest of the pride. There's only 2 females here, so I'm sure the other ones are up here somewhere.
How long are you staying overnight?
No, tonight I'll only stay out till maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But our other car is at Purangat, and she'll be out till midnight, 1 o'clock, sometime there.
I wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can find the rest of the sausage tree pride, or maybe we'll get lucky with that female cheetah still. While we do that, let's go to Tristan, who's looking for little things at Twin Dams.
I am looking at little things at Twin Dams. So we've got a little water boatman, and you can see why it's called a boatman, because of that oval-shaped body with those 2 oars basically that come out that help it swim around underneath the water. And it's not every day we get to see them, so it's super cool watching them shoot about and swim around and go crazy. There's the odd little fish around as well. There's another water boatman going that way. You can see there's a big elephant ball of dung, so you can work out just how big our water boatmen are. They are tiny in comparison to the elephant dung. Now, there were 1 or 2 fish around swimming in the background. I can't see them now. They seem to have moved off. And there was a dragonfly larvae that also was there, but I don't know where that's gone. But it just gives you an idea of how small. There's another water boatman. There you can see his oars quite clearly. Very cool. A little bit darker, that one. So nice to see. And it's not something we get to see very often at all. While Hassan is sleeping, Senzo spotted all of these different insects moving around in the shallows of Twin Dams, and it really is very cool to see. And amidst all of these insects and varying other small invertebrates that are around water, and I wonder if they're not feeding off the vegetation inside the elephant dung. So you can see they're all latching onto it. You see varying others. They're also probably using it a little bit for safety, because it'll be a place where they're able to go down and fish can't get to them. There looks like a fish at the back. Is that a fish? Looks like a little fish that's darting forward. So it doesn't look like the boatman, that one. That looks like a small type of fish that is swimming. What kind of fish it is, I'm not quite sure. There's probably little barbs is what they are. 3-spot barb is what we get in this area. George, you're asking if we can eat the fish in the lakes at Djuma. George, no, these fish would be far too small. These fish are tiny, tiny, tiny. Like I say, that's a ball of elephant dung, to give you an idea of just how small those fish are. They are minute, so they wouldn't even be a snack. And I don't know, I think the water here is so sort of stagnant sometimes. I'm not sure I'd want to try one. Although I suppose if you cook them properly, you could. There are bream species that we do get here that can be eaten, and catfish species that we call a barbel, and those will get eaten from time to time and are okay, but I'm not sure I would be hugely into eating fish out of some of these, given what I've seen go on in these waterholes from the elephants defecating and urinating and buffalo and all kinds of other things that go on inside here. But amazing to watch, isn't it? It's not something we get to really see very often at all. So they're not fish, they are boatmen. Even those lighter coloured ones, I thought they were fish, but they're not. They're an insect that is moving around. It's quite difficult to see because obviously it's through some murky water, and their little oars are not very dark like that other boatman we saw just now, so they're tough to see. I thought, like I said, that they're fish, but they're not. They're insects and that are moving around in the water. But well spotted, Senzo. That is super cool. Bree, you say so much activity. There is so much. Hosanna was completely sleepy, but he's waken up now. He's starting to groom himself. He's been yawning a little bit, so I think he's had a day of rest, and I wouldn't be surprised we're going to start getting going now. Hopefully it's not going to be southwards. I'm hoping he's going to start heading north. I wouldn't mind going on a hunting expedition with Hosanna. It would be really nice to see him hunting again, and you can see there's a bit of sunlight now coming out, and look at how beautiful his colors look in that sunlight. He's getting that little bit of colour coming through and a bit of grooming going on, and this is very typical of a cat that's prepping to move. So they groom, they get rid of any parasites that have gotten onto them, any loose fur that is developed through the day, get their coats in good condition. You can see he's cleaning between his toes there and making sure that they're all prepped and ready for the evening's moving around, and making sure that his feet are in good condition, like a little pedicure that he's going through right now, and making sure that he looks good and is healthy. So this is a typical sign before cats get going, and like I say, yawning coupled with this generally indicates that we're going to see some sort of movement in the near future. So hopefully, like I say, it's north and not south. I really don't want him to go down into Little Gari, because that will put a bit of a ruin or dampener on my plans this afternoon. I was hoping that we'd get here now and Hosanna would start waking up, maybe have a little drink, and then from there start moving up the Mulawati and maybe go on a little hunting expedition. Lots of nyalas and bushbuck and impalas and steenbok and duiker in the actual Mulawati on my way down, so hoping that he'll head that way and do a little bit of hunting there. But isn't he beautiful? Very dexterous too, as well, by the way that he's able to groom almost on his own back, which is pretty amazing. So nice to see the way he does things. It really is a very pretty leopard, Hosanna. What I was also amazed about is just the size between... Oh, there went a dove. A dove almost landed right in front of him. You could see he kind of turned his head a little bit. So the dove is just on the left-hand side there somewhere. I can't see where it's gone now, since I think it's flown a little bit past. But he saw a dove coming in and his eyes lit up for a second, and then decided, nope, not going to have any of that. And then decided to carry on grooming. His brother, his older brother, Shivambalan, that's how he got his name, is by catching a emerald spotted wood dove, because that's what Shivambalana means. So that's where he was, and he was doing exactly this. He was busy grooming, and then a dove flew past and he just grabbed it out of nowhere. But how beautiful is the reflection in that greenish coloured water. Very, very pretty. Well done, Senzo. And this light is just getting better. It's almost starting to filter and become a soft yellowy light. You often get this after rain. You get this most wonderful light developing in the afternoons, and it was exactly what I was hoping for. So I'm sure Hosanna is going to put on a wonderful show as he sits there and enjoys the last of the afternoon sunshine. Now, you can see he's now moved on from the front legs to the back legs and is doing the exact same thing, just grooming the toes, maybe a bit of sand in between there, keeping everything in check and we'll stay with him and monitor whether he gets up and moves. But from one spotted cat in the sunset to another, let's go across to Taylor and her beautiful cheetah.
Woohoo! We made it! Finally, we found wildebeest. We've also found this beautiful spotted cat who I want to see if it is a male or a female. You look very much like a girl. I do not see any of the bits that make you a man, but we'll have a quick look. Let me just keep up with her. So I have a story to tell you. I met with one of the wardens, and he actually gave me the info on this cheetah. How kind of him. He said that he watched it chase after impala and grab an impala lamb, and then unfortunately lose it to the hyenas, which is sad for the cheetah, but it works out well for us because it means someone's hungry. Except we want this cat to... Oh, let's not drive us into any holes. We want this cat to, of course, stay on the left-hand side. We don't want it to come to the right because we can't off-road on the right-hand side. So I'm going to give her a bit of space. And there's plenty of wildebeest around. There's also loads of... What else is there? Some impala, some zebra. I'm just scanning. Some topi. Let's go up here. What we will have to do, though, at some point, before this gets too exciting, is very quickly put the infrared light on. But I just wanted to show you all this beautiful cat. It's so nice to see. And we also just quadruple check that it is not a boy. No, doesn't look like it. Very lean, though. Could do with a meal, don't you think? So let's see what's going to happen. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to go for now? You better be careful. Going that way, though, because I did see some lions in an area where we can't off-road, and they're so far off the road that unfortunately it's no good for us, especially when it gets dark. You know, during the day it's different, but we lose light, and our infrared lights can only go so far. Oh, built for speed. I mean, have you ever seen anything as fantastic as a cheetah? I think I'd choose a cheetah over a sports car. And I think they could do a better job too. Never seen a sports car catch an impala, but hopefully we'll see this cheetah catch one. This is very cool. Now, I don't know what cheetahs roam around this area. I've never been here before. This is my first time. So we'll have to learn together. We're basically... What are we? We are eastish of Purungut Gate, but still in the triangle. So I don't know what cats like to hang around here at all. Let's see, Craig. Let's follow her. But like I said, we're going to lose light fast. And before it gets too exciting, before she does go and chase something, we'll have to put those infrared lights on. Otherwise, you are not going to see anything. We're going to miss the hunt. It became racing here. Chantal, are you still there? Now, Brie, you're wondering how much a cheetah weighs? She looks fairly underweight because of, well, she hasn't had a meal. But you not how much she weighs, how much the tail weighs. Well, that tail is just about the length of her body. I wouldn't know. I'm sure it's got a bit of cartilage, muscle. Not going to be much fat there. But I don't know if it'll weigh too much at all. Maybe less than a kilogram. But who knows? I'm quite happy not ever knowing how much a cheetah tail weighs. Just because I can only imagine one way that you'd weigh it, and that would be a cheetah without a tail. So let's not even worry about how much it can weigh. Let's keep it on. Is it a good... I can't see very well. Craig, can we zoom right? We need to get right in there. See, I can't... I think I'm fairly confident that it is a female, but watch it surprise me. She's very tall. I suppose I'm so used to seeing so many leopards out and about that a cheetah, well, in stature is obviously a lot more slender. But the cheetah definitely taller than those leopards. Oh, it's so lovely. We didn't find the leopard, though. There was also apparently a leopard sighting. We had a little look, but there's the possibility, though, that because they are quite shy out here, they're not like the Sabi sand leopards, that possibly it ducked off into one of the drainage lines. Chantal, I don't know if you heard me, but we're going to have to put our infrared lights on because she's obviously on the move, so she might be looking for something to eat. What on earth are you? Craig, can you see that tiny little bird on the ground? I have no idea what that is. Someone take a screenshot, please, and share it with me because I'd like to try and figure out what it is. I don't think it's a mannequin. No, it's running bizarrely on the ground. It runs like a ground-dwelling bird. Never seen that before, but I shall figure out what it is if you take screenshots. Remember, hashtag Safari Live, and then I can identify it for you later. I'm going to be out for most of the night, so I'll be able to do that. Chantal, are you still there? Wonderful. Right, I'm going to send you back to Tristan and Hosanna, but don't worry, we won't be gone for too long. We're just going to add our infrared lights.
Now, Hosanna is having a game with a little Franklin that keeps running back and forth towards him. He's now lying flat, pretending like he's not interested, and the Franklin is running for its life. But just now, the Franklin was actually coming straight towards him. There you go, you can see he's popped his head up now because the Franklin has run away, but the Franklin was walking straight towards him and he kind of hunched down and was trying to pretend like he was not interested, but I think he's quite upset that the Franklin has gone all the way over that side. But look at how majestic he looks on the edge of this water. He's really turning into a beautiful individual. He's watching the Franklins on the other side of the dam. You can hear the Franklins are chasing each other around. Larissa, you're asking if cheetah, lions and leopard males and females reach maturity at the same age, or does it differ between the sexes? Well, it's not that they reach maturity at different ages, it's that the opportunities to mate come at different ages. So a male lion, male leopard, even a male cheetah to a degree, they have to get stronger and big enough to be able to compete with other males, and that normally takes a little bit longer than when they're actually sexually mature and able to mate. If you look at something like a female leopard, she's already starting to mate at 2.5 years old. Even lionesses, 2.5, 3 years old, they can start mating, and they'll normally conceive their first cubs at around 4 years or 3.5, 4, if sometimes a little bit earlier if they're lucky. But males generally don't come right with mating until they're around 4 to 7 years, depending on the individuals. There are anomalies, obviously, outliers on that scale, but generally the males only are able to mate at a much later stage. But look how serious he looks. Isn't he magnificent? Hosanna, you are looking beautiful, my boy. He's very, very well fed. He's healthy. He's definitely growing by the day. He's starting to get a very wide, round face, thick neck, and the male leopard in him is starting to come out and blossom, and he's in his teenage years now, so he's going to start going towards that 2-year mark, and then once he starts to get to 3, 4, then that's when he's going to really put on quite a bit of size. And then when he gets dominant and that testosterone flush happens, that's when he'll do that last bulking up and then become massive. So hopefully he's going to be an impressive male, and I'm pretty sure he will be wherever he ends up. But he is looking as regal as one could ever want to see from a leopard. He's sitting beautifully for us at the moment, and he almost looks as though he's kind of surveying his landscape from his throne, which is Twin Dam's Wall. It seems to have become his place. He loves spending time here and watching what goes on. There's varying different types of birds and animals and all kinds of things that come down to this section and drink, and so it's the perfect place for a leopard to spend their time. But isn't that beautiful? I think so. I think there's not very many things in this world that can rival a beautiful male leopard when it's sitting head up like that, legs crossed on the edge of a waterhole. It's a magnificent scene. We've even got a bit of cloud to add drama to our afternoon, so you can see that's the kind of scene that we're looking at the moment, and it really is a beautiful one. But you can see now why I was saying it's difficult to spot him. You can see the camouflage when he's up against that wall. You'd think that yellowy color would really stand out, but as you can see from that, it doesn't. The spots actually blend into this mottled wall effect, and he can blend in very, very well. Beautiful though. Carsten from Denmark, you're asking if any of the big cats have the falling or landing on their feet part that domestic cats have. Yes, leopards, when they fall out of a tree, I'm yet to see a leopard land funny. They always generally land on their feet, even when they fall, and lions to a degree. They don't really fall graciously, but they will land on their back legs or their front legs or all four of them, but they generally don't land on their backs ever. They kind of twist themselves in the air and land on their feet. So it is the same with domestic cats as our leopards. They do, and lions, they do the same thing. Cheetah, I've never seen a cheetah fall out of a tree, so I wouldn't know. But leopards I've seen fall out many times, and they generally do land on their feet quite well. Unless, of course, you're Anderson male and you're dragging a carcass up a tree and then you basically fall with the carcass. That throws you off balance and you don't then land on your feet at all. You end up landing on your back and side. How he didn't injure himself, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Anderson male was videoed once taking an impala up into a tree, and he then fell for some reason. He fell out with the impala and landed in a heap at the bottom of the tree. So that wasn't ideal and not very elegant, but it's very seldom that we see things like that happening. Look at him just watching the water. Are you watching the terrapins? Maybe he's watching the little water boatmen that we've been seeing flocking past or swimming past, and he's intrigued by all of that. It's just a wonderful, wonderful sight to see him like this. And he's almost looking as though to say, where are all the animals that come and drink at this time of the day? It's not a hot day, so maybe the animals are not coming down, and he's going to have to be patient and wait a lot longer for anything to move into this area. So I'm just looking behind me to see if there is any impalas or anything drifting, but nothing for him at just yet. But I don't think he's going to be down for too much longer. I really do believe that he's going to yawn now, and I really believe that he is going to start getting up and going shortly. Maybe come down for a bit of a drink, and then he's going to start going. Now, Hassan is sitting patiently waiting, looking around, and he really doesn't seem to care too much about any of the other animals that we get in this area. But one animal that will be worried about running into other spotted predators like we had this morning is the cheetahs, and I believe Taylor's cheetahs are having a tough time.
Oh, look who's sitting low on the mound as on the termite mound as the hyena came charging past him. She's not having much luck in coming back again. This hyena definitely knows that the cheetah's here. Now, there have been a couple of them calling about. I suspect there might be a den nearby because I saw a couple of heads popping up from the ground, but in a non-off-roading section. And maybe this is the one that stole her meal earlier. It's come in the direction that she was in, but it is heading off to the whooping sounds that we heard just a moment ago, to obviously the rest of the clan. There you go. Don't worry, girl. But the hyenas won't hassle her too much if she doesn't have a kill. I mean, there's no point. Hyenas don't necessarily go around just killing other predators, but isn't that absolutely gorgeous? She's staring across at a herd of wildebeest, but they're very far away still. She's still got quite a bit of a distance to travel if she's thinking of taking on a wildebeest. There'll be a couple of youngsters in there that'll be suited to her size, especially because she's on her own, which is typical for a female cheetah, unless she's got cubs or sabots with her. But otherwise, this is how you normally see female cheetah. It's the boys that you'll see forming coalitions. So I was just reading a message. Jamie was saying that double crossing, which is a crossing on the other side, is completely flooded. So they aren't able to cross it at the moment. It just goes to show how much rain that area actually had. It must have been spectacular, that side. And last night, well, I don't know, I suppose there's such different areas. Once Brent and I were 6 kilometers away, and I was sitting in the pouring rain, and he was counting the stars. So you just never know. But it's looking good for us so far, and hopefully I don't jinx it. And hopefully it'll be good weather for this lovely girl. Because if it does start pouring with rain, maybe she's going to go seek shelter. Who knows? Predators do like to hunt in the rain too. They might have a better chance. That is gorgeous. To see a cheetah walking with rain falling in the distance and the sky on fire. It would only get better if she heads up a bit higher so that we can get a silhouette shot of her. Let's see if we can follow her. Oh, actually, I'm going to stay. Oh, no. Sorry, this car is a disaster. I'm trying to get it into low range, but it's really not the easiest. Go in. There we go. Sometimes force is the way forward, especially with these cars. Now we're going to navigate some rocks very quickly. Well, there's no such thing as navigating rocks quickly, that's for sure. But I want to try and keep on this side of her so we can get that silhouette. She needs to move up a little bit higher though, and then it'll be perfect. I'll try and get up so we don't have to keep moving. There we go. Now, Andy, you're wondering if lions with cheetah are more successful than lions when hunting. Well, it depends. Unfortunately, cheetah and lions don't have the strike rate like a pack of wild dogs. They really are the winners when it comes to being successful when they hunt. We know she's just made a successful kill. She killed an impala lamb, but unfortunately it was stolen from her. How many times she has tried before she got her hands on that impala, her paws on that impala, I'm not sure. It's really a tough one. I haven't seen a cheetah kill from start to finish. I've only watched a couple of attempts, and I've just missed them catching things because they were behind a tree or something along those lines. I would say that lions maybe have a better success rate because they hunt in prides. If it's a coalition of male cheetah, oh wow, look at that. Then probably about the same. Oh my gosh. That is like an absolute dream come true. I've always wanted to see the silhouette of a cheetah walking along the skyline on a high ridge. So there we go. I can tick something off my bucket list, and I hope that all of you can tick something off too. I mean, we dream of shots like this. Craig, have you ever filmed cheetah like this before? Craig says no, and he's jumping for joy now. So if the camera starts to shake, it's not me being excited. I promise you it's Craig. This is beautiful. Now, I really hope we're going to see our first hunt. Shall we keep going? Because she's actually caught up. Well, she's jumped ahead of us, and I know there's a few rocks, and with cheetah, anything can happen. She could spot something just on top of the ridge, and we could be too far behind her, and off she goes. That'll be a hard one to keep up with. I don't even think I'd keep up with a cheetah. Wild dogs, yeah, they give you a run for your money, but I think a cheetah's on a whole nother level. So let's see what she's going for. She doesn't seem to be moving towards those wildebeest. There were a couple watching here on this side too. And she's just heading further and further up. Is that a buffalo? You can't hunt a buffalo. Let's see what she's going to do. Now, Francis from Israel, wondering if hyenas, pesky things, follow cats around, and they do indeed. They love following leopards around, predominantly in the Sabi sand. They often feed on the same carcass, and then, well, cheetah, they just take the kill from them. So yes, they will. So I'm sure the hyena will hang around in the area. Like I said, I think there's a den nearby. There's a buffalo up ahead, but she's not interested in the buffalo. I mean, we've seen the lions being chased around by buffalo, so cheetah is really no match. A young buffalo calf, perhaps, not a problem, but again, you've got to fight with a big herd of buffalo, and we know how dangerous that can be, so I don't know if you would take that chance. Here's a lovely cat, though. I think we'll probably try and follow her for most of the night until she successfully makes a kill. Let's be optimistic here. Just stopping, staring, looking back, scanning, dreaming. There must be about 100,000 wildebeest just on the other side of the Mara River, quite close to the Purungat Bridge, so it might be a good spot to sort of head to. So she's going towards the tree. Are you going towards the tree? Oh, whoa! Turbo kicked in there. Felt like it just jumped. Wildebeest! Look at the wildebeest running. Where are they going? I'm coming here. There's a young wildebeest calf in amongst this herd. I'm just going to stop. Again, we have seen it with predators When they are moving through an area, you'll get their prey coming into an obvious spot, saying, we know that you are here, don't try and catch us because we can see you. But a cheetah can run particularly fast. It doesn't look like she's showing too much interest just yet. She's just sort of walking. This is now a picnic spot at this tree. There's one young wildebeest calf in there that could be tasty for her. Are you going to go stand on that little block? That would be great, wouldn't it? Put your paws up there, looking up to the top of the tree. Let's see. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of other animals that have scent marked up against there, but if she is coming into estrus, which I'm not sure, maybe she's going to mark, maybe she'd be picking up on the scent of a male. Let's see. Just having a good old smell. A little beacon. And from those scents, she can tell who exactly has been past her. I'm sure she knows the scent of a... Yeah, it looks like she's hidden herself, but I'm pretty sure the way that she just cocked her tail, that she was perhaps scent marking up on that tree, so maybe she's interested in a potential boy that's around. I can hear the hyenas making all sorts of funny noises down below. The wildebeest are now running alongside the cheetah. That's quite cool, actually. Oh, in the sky, everything is so beautiful. Oh, wow. I mean, even you can just see with the sky behind me, it's absolutely amazing. Now, Roshni, as we drive, I'm going to try and get another good spot here. You're wondering about this cheetah, and what is the largest size of prey that a single cheetah could take down? There. All on its own. Well, for a male cheetah, because they're slightly larger, and again, if he was hunting by himself, say he wasn't a part of a coalition, he'd take down wildebeest. I mean, I've heard stories of, coalitions taking down adult wildebeest. I would say for a single female cheetah like this, you're probably looking at a sub-adult wildebeest would be big enough. Now, when you are on your own like this, and we see it in the Sabi Sand a lot, when a female cheetah in particular, or males on their own, are by themselves, in the Sabi Sand they would catch lots of steenbok and deke. It's a small meal. They can eat it fairly quickly without too much hassle, unless there's some hyena or there's a leopard or something that's, maybe nearby that will come through and steal it. There's zebra, there's topi, there's also impala. There's lots of game around here, so we'll just keep up with her. And they would catch the smaller things and sort of have a bit of chance of holding on to it. If you're on your own and you kill a sub-adult wildebeest, it's going to take you quite a bit of time to feed on that. Now you've also got the worry of running right in front of her. This is incredible. Of having something harass you because it's such a large kill. So I don't know if it's the same thing out here. You don't really see, I haven't seen as many smaller antelope species besides the Thompson's gazelle, the odd oribi here and there. And of course the impala around, but not in numbers like we see in the sand. Okay, right, let's carry on. Like I said, we've just got to make sure that we try and keep up with her for as much as we can. Now, we saw her smelling up against that tree, against that Balanites tree, and I suspect that she also scent marked herself up along there. And there was a question from Bree about her senses and whether she uses her sense of smell to help her find food. I think it's a combination of things. I think they use a combination of hearing. I think cheetah's eyesight is particularly good, just like any predator that has got binocular vision. And I think that their sense of smell definitely plays a part. So I don't think it's just one thing that they're relying on. It's a little bit of everything. Ooh, this could be very pretty because the wildebeest and the zebra are now silhouetted. And hopefully she heads towards them. If she heads up a bit higher, we'll get another silhouette. Oh, my goodness. But even just that of the herbivores at the back is fantastic. And you can hear the classic the of the impala. That didn't even sound like an impala alarm call. That was hopeless. You'd think I'd know better, especially since they're the animal that we see. Well, we see more of every single day when we're in the sand. Doing a little zigzag technique there, aren't you, girl? What have you found? Not a scrub here or any mouse maybe lurking in the grass that got her attention, or the scent of some sort? She's definitely soldiering on, though. See how everybody's just watching her, not really paying too much attention? Well, not yet. And they're all alarming, saying, hey, we know you're there. Don't even try anything. I reckon, though, if she finds another group of impala, or maybe some Thompson's gazelle, she could go for it. Okay, well, we've got to carry on again before she gets away from us. Isn't this great, though? Now, I'd said to you before I came to the Mara that one of the things I wanted to do was spend time with Cheetah, and I unfortunately hadn't really had the opportunity to do so because of the high density of vehicles within the private areas of the Sabi Sand and wanting to see cheetah all the time, and because they're not particularly common. So I'm definitely going to spend as much time as I can with this girl. I'd love to spend some more time with the musketeers. The rain sort of ruined it for us the last time. Well, the first time I found them, unfortunately. What are you going to do, girl? Oh, you know what? I just want to see. I want to make sure she doesn't go running after anything, but look how gorgeous that is. Remember how I told you I've been dying to get a silhouette shot of impala bounding across the skyline? We won't get that yet. We'll start with the zebra and the topi, because that is absolutely magnificent, isn't that? That is really a postcard. Is there any possibility we can have a little bit closer look? So I've got a shot for all of you that you've got to try and get, and you've got to tag me in it, because I'm not going to take any pictures of this. You must all just enjoy this. Look at that. Topi, zebra. You've got to get all of that in, and remember, hashtag Safari Live. Add it to your silhouette collection. That's so cool. Oi. Here the crowned lapwing, very unhappy with that cheetah marching through, though. I don't think she'll be particularly interested in 2 tiny eggs or 3 tiny eggs. I don't think that would be very tasty. No, you want something a little bit more substantial, don't you? But she's also smelling, like she stops and she zigzags, and that's not, I don't think that's a particular hunting technique. I've never seen that happen. I know I zigzag when I walk towards a giraffe, but she's picking up scents on the grass, so maybe she's looking for something? Who knows? There's a lapwing. Okay, let's go again. Oh, there's a couple of Thompson's gazelle. Richard, you're wondering what the success rate for cheetah is? I wouldn't imagine that it's very good, very high at all. Maybe slightly less than a lion, but I am not one to ask because I cannot talk from experience. I can only tell you what the books say, because I've never seen a cheetah hunt from start to finish. Like I said, I either get there and then they chase and then they kill something behind the bushes and I've missed the whole thing, because it is a lot denser in the Sabi Sand. So my best chance is actually here. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, because I'm also here to learn. And so I said I want to spend as much time with the cheetah in this area so I can learn all about it and cross those theories that people have said things that cheetah do, and then I completely disagree with it. Sorry, I'm focusing quite heavily now. I'm also going to quickly scan with my binoculars. I just want to see if there's any other prey around. Maybe she's just sick of it and she doesn't even want to eat anything else tonight. But I would imagine, as lean as she is, that hunger must be setting in now. So cool. This is so great. This is turning out to be a magnificent evening. But we're going to sit here for a little bit longer. Like I said, I'm going to try not let her out of my sight, and hopefully it pays off. Tristan, however, is sitting with young Prince Hosanna.
I am indeed. You can see he's done a little turnaround. He did a little pirouette and is now grooming the other side of his body. So, oh, no, don't land there, bird. That's not the place to land. So there was a thick knee that came in. Oh, now he's going to play Harry Casual and just kind of lean back. Is that not... There's a thick knee that came flying in, so that's a water thick knee that we've got there with a white stripe on the edge of the wing, or on the wing itself. I'm just looking at Hosanna, probably wondering, what are you doing? And she got a bit of a fright. It was about to land right where Hosanna was, and then decided no against that. But you can't get much more gangster than that. He's got the gangster lean. He's leaning up against the bank. He's busy grooming himself. And he's looking super chilled with life. Now, a Nyala bull did come down just now and drank, and he kind of watched it, but I think he realizes a Nyala bull is just a bit too much for him to to grab at this stage. It's also, he was in no position to be hunting anything from where he was. He had to have crept around the entire edge of the dam, which is near impossible actually at this stage. And given that it's so open here, that Nyala would have spotted him in 2 seconds, so he's not going to be able to do that. Hello, beautiful boy. Look at how wonderful his eyes are getting. They're almost going more orange by the day. They sort of lightening up, but going orange, orange, orange. It's interesting. He's starting to get an almost Lumula eye color. For those of you who don't remember, Lumula, he was a male that we used to see around Cheetah, Hoffman's, a little bit into Shirley's. I think he was once or twice seen on the live drives. I'm not 100% sure, but he might have been seen on Safari Live a few times. But he had the most incredible orange eyes. And then there's the flat rock male, which has also got very similar eyes to what Hosana's got. So they're becoming very mesmerizing, those eyes. And it's amazing that our 2 young boys both have incredible eye colors. So Hosana's getting these orangey colored eyes, and then on the opposite spectrum, you've got Tumba with these blue-green eyes. And they both are absolutely striking. When they look at you, it's quite something. They kind of both have this look that you get a bit mesmerized by them. So nice to see that both the boys are going to be good-looking lads later in life. So Lily, you're saying, how do I know who this leopard is? There are so many names. Well, Lily, the thing is that it's not so much, I mean, some people use spot patterns and will use certain markings to kind of indicate who exactly he is and how they tell him apart. So as far as I know, Hassan is a 3-3, but for me, spot patterns are helpful in the beginning, but once you see a leopard for a long period of time, you generally kind of get a sense of who they are by just what they look like, much like you would recognize your cat or dog that you have at home. It's the exact same thing with these leopards, as we get to a point where we start to recognize them as individuals just because of spending a lot of time with them. So for me, Hassan has just got a certain look about him that I get, and I know in this particular section, the young males that we see here, it really can only be Hassan or Tumba, and they look very different, the two of them. Like I say, they have different colored eyes, so it's really quite simple to see him. He's got this kind of pinkish nose, orangey colored eyes, the 3-3 spot pattern, which is those spots over the whiskers, and that just helps to be able to work out exactly who they are. So there's a general kind of appearance for me is always more helpful than a spot pattern, because a lot of the time we see these leopards from far away and you can't see the spots from 20 meters. Even from here, I can't tell you how many spots Hosana's got on his face, but what I can tell you is that he's got the Hosana look about him, which is that pink nose, those orangish colored eyes, and that general sort of roundish face that he has. A very typical Karula family face. They've got stout muzzles and roundy faces, and they are beautiful. Now, I was talking about Hosana's camouflage. The camouflage of that thick knee, oh no, it's now stood up, but it was sitting down, and I promise you it was impossible to see. It's a pity it's now gone down to the water. I'm hoping it will go back to where it was and sit down again, and I'll be able to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I think our Hosana is starting to wake up, but look at him grooming. I always love when leopards groom their paws like this, when they have their paw out in front and then you see that long pink tongue kind of go along the length of their paw. It always is a beautiful way to see them. Are you surveying your landscape, Hosana? I wonder if one day this will all be his. Imagine if it does. It would be interesting, that's for sure. It would definitely not be something that I would have expected. Lily, you're asking what's happened to Karula's territory and who should get it. Well, it's been courted and divided and split up in chunks to all the females in the area. So at the moment, Tundi has made the most movement into Karula's territory. She's now taken this whole southeast corner, even up, I suppose, into the central parts of Djuma now, and even northwards. The other day she was seen close to Buffelshoek Dam, so she's pushing quite far and taking that whole eastern section, and then Shadow seems to be taking the whole western section at the moment. So Shadow's being seen along on the western boundary, not as far north as what Tundi's been going, but still pretty much the western section is now Shadow's. So the two daughters have pushed in there, and then we know Shangila at one stage was moving around just on the northern section, and there we go, he's starting to think about getting going. Oh, just got to alleviate some itches when we're doing this. You can see a few dark clouds in the background. And interesting, the first insects that I've heard at night since we've been in the winter. It sounds like the cicadas are almost starting to call a little bit now. But look. There's a soft sand going up. What have you got your nose in? There's a little hole there, and you see he's digging a little bit. Wonder what you found there, Hosanna. How beautiful is that, though, him just creeping over the top of the dam wall. Just checking, slinking over. And I wonder if he's just going to sit and give us a little look over his shoulder. It would be really nice if he did. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to just go back up onto the dam wall because I want to be able to... Oh, look at that. I'll just stop there because he's looking over his shoulder. Isn't that beautiful? That is as good as it gets when coming to a leopard, that's for sure. The only thing that could be better would be if he just walked slightly across outside of those branches that we've got there and sat in a nice clean part of the dam wall. That would be the only other way that this could be any better than what it is right now. That is absolutely beautiful, especially silhouetted against that dark sky that we're getting on the eastern horizon. Almost looks like we might get some more rain now that there's some big dark clouds coming from the east, and so he's just kind of watching them. But that's the sky that he's under. Isn't that magnificent? Very, very pretty. And I think he's just watching and checking what's going on. Megan, quintessential. You see, you're using my words now, Megan. Slowly but surely we're teaching Megan the quintessential words. She makes fun of me because I use it so often. Itching again. A little itch between the shoulder blades. At least he can scratch his. It's not like us as people where we struggle to be able to scratch our itches that we have on our shoulder blades. It's really not ideal when we get those itches, but at least he's able to do it. Now I'm going to quickly shoot around because I think he's going to cross out of our traverse. He's going to head south, which means that we're probably not going to see him for too much longer. So I want to try and just get up and out as quick as possible and keep up with him and see the last of him going over. Let's try and get through this section without killing Senzo and myself. There we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Where are you, Hosanna? Or are you going back now the other way? Well, it looks like it. Looks like he might head north now, which is good news. It means he might be heading deeper back into Djuma, or he could have just gone round the back of this vehicle and then will turn south from there. Although, where are you heading? No, he is turning north by the looks of things, which is fantastic. It means he's turning deeper into Djuma. So I'm trying to just cross this muddy little section, which is very bouncy, and I'm bouncing around all over the place. So there's a bit of a workout going over here for the old core muscles. There he goes, he's just going north, and that's great news, guys. This is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. We wanted him to head north, because north, for us, means that we get to see him for longer. So fantastic. Now it's almost time where I'm going to have to get my spotlight out until we're able to put on our infrared. So we'll have to just use the spotlight for a little bit, because we don't have our infrared just yet. So there we go. Just crossing, not just yet, he's looking around. He seems to be quite wary. He's obviously heard something that he's now listening to and just checking, but he must keep pushing northwards. He needs to go down into the Mulawati and northwards, and that will be much better for us than if he goes south. Where are you off to, Asana? He looks as though he's a little bit kind of unsure which way he wants to go. There's a few Aramok babblers that are shouting at him. And hang on, he's creeping away and he's salivating as well. What have you seen, Hosanna, that I haven't seen? He's seen something. Lou reckons it's Tumba that's here, so I want to go down and just see. We're going to let somebody else go in front because they haven't had a chance to go. And so I want to just have a look back here because he's looking behind this damn wall. I wonder if Tumba's not here, or somebody else like Tundi. That could also be another leopard that could be around. But I'm going to go drop down into the drainage line and just see if he's going to pop that side. It looks like he's heading down in towards the Mulawati, so I want to head into the Mulawati and just see if there isn't another leopard lurking that side. We also know Tingana, he could also be here, even though he was on Nkoro and Cheetah Plains this morning. By now, he could easily be in this direction, given the weather that we've got. So I wonder just who is lurking, because all of a sudden there was a bit of salivating. He went into a very different position where he was kind of stalking lower, which is a little bit of a change. So I want to head round and see, and we know that there's been lots of alarm calls around here, lots of sort of audio for birds shouting, and also tracks for a young male leopard. So maybe Tumba, I don't know. It's going to be interesting nonetheless, because somebody is around that's causing Hosana to go into a very different sort of mode than what he was for most of the afternoon. He was kind of relaxed and ambling along, and all of a sudden just stopped, and then he started hunching down. And it's typical of either seeing a prey item or seeing or seeing another leopard. The salivating part generally means another leopard. Oh, come on, Wendy, off you go. Come on, come on. There we go. So we just had to get Wendy through the soft sand, and now she'll be okay, and she'll be able to maneuver through here just fine. Just checking, because I was driving here today and I wanted to see, looked like there was some sort of tracks inside my vehicle track, so I was wanting to see who exactly that was. But I've got spider webs all over my face, so I want to try and get rid of those quickly before we actually look at what these tracks are. Has he already crossed over? No, I don't think so. I think he's probably still on this bank. Oh, there we go. Who's that? There's a leopard there, but it looks like Hosana. No, there's another leopard here. I don't know who it is. Is this Quarantine? No, is that? Who is that? No, it's Hosana that's this side, but how did he get here so quickly? How did he run across so fast? I don't know if maybe there's another leopard, but here is Hosana this side. It's not another leopard, this is definitely Hosana. So I don't know how he got to here so quickly and why he's facing this way now. You book another Ingwe, but this one is Hosana, but so I'm just asking the guys, but that is Hosana for sure. So how he got across, I'm not quite sure. He must have run across, and now, I don't know, it's very odd, because his behavior is also as though he's watching something this side now. I don't know. Yeah, he must be hunting something in this general vicinity. Either that or there's another leopard lurking around here somewhere, but he's kind of run across and now he's coming back again, so I don't know what he's seen, but it's definitely Hosana for sure. That is him through and through. I'll just light up his legs there, give him a bit more colour. What have you seen, boy? He must have chased something this way and missed. That's the only thing I can think of, because for a second there I wondered if maybe his older brother was around. Dear watcher, you say he looks spooked. He does, doesn't he? He looks as though there's something going on, and I'm not 100% sure what's happening at the moment, but there's definitely something that's intrigued him, and like I say, either he's chased something over this riverbed and is now coming back, or he saw somebody else and went this way and checked. But I don't see any other leopards around here that I'm not 100% sure. It's a mystery. What are you up to, Hosana? There always seems to be something going on with this cat when he's around. He seems to always have some sort of intriguing stuff happening. Look how beautiful he's looking though. He's really starting to fill out properly. That's why for a second I thought it might have been Quarantine, just because of how big he was. Cody, who's 6 years old, you want to know why he's got black around his mouth? Well, Cody, that's just how it is. It's unfortunately with leopards, they have these markings like this, and it's all there to help break up his face. So when I mean break up his face, it's when he's staring at an animal He wants to be able to be as camouflaged as possible, so he wants to hide as well as possible, and those black markings help to match the light in the shade and make it very difficult for the prey animal to see him. So that's why he's got black in those areas, just to make sure that it helps keep him very well hidden from any other of the prey animals, and that he can then hunt and stalk. I have no idea what he's doing. Maybe there's a duiker or a steenbok that's run this direction. He's now coming back to check, but he certainly watched something or ran after something down here, and who knows what it was, because if it was another leopard, we would have found that they would have had a face-off. They wouldn't have dispersed as quickly as this. And look, now he's coming straight back towards us again. I'm just going to drop my light down as he walks towards us. You don't go southwards though, boy. You can see how relaxed he is though, just walking behind the car. Typical Hosanna maneuver. Okay, but don't lie down like your older sister did the other day. I think he's moving down the riverbed though, and he is going to sit there. Right, I want to just try to get out of the way of the vehicle in front of me, so I'm going to just turn a little bit. Is he still close? Is he close? Oh, we're not going to be able to turn. Not yet. He's still too close behind us at the moment. I thought he was a little bit further than what he is. He's literally right behind the car, and he's pulling the same stint that Tundi pulled the other day, where they sit right behind the car. I don't know why they like to do this, but for some reason, behind the car is where he wants to be. And so, is he going to go to the toilet? It looks like it. Don't go to the toilet in the tyre track, because then somebody's got to drive over that, and a bit of leopard dung in your tyres is never a pleasant experience. It smells quite a bit, and it seems to stick to the tires, and so not very pleasant at all. What has he seen though? I don't know. He seems to be in a state of undecided whether it's toilet time or time to move on, but it can't be comfortable either way. Now I believe I need to link, I'm not sure to who, I've got no comms, so we'll go across to whoever it is, and hopefully it will be a beautiful sighting.
Find any cheetah, but as we got back to where those two lovely girls were, they were on the move. Now there's one just in front of us and one to the right. I can just make them out at the moment. So we will be using infrared light to view them, and hopefully they're heading out on the hunt. Now, I mean, you can barely see anything in front of me, but you're going to have to believe me, there's a lion right there. There we go. We have a look in infrared. There she is. Moving west. And the other lioness is just off to the right somewhere. I actually can't see her at the moment. So as it got dark, they decided it was time to get moving. Okay, I'm going to have to keep up with them. You'll see I have to put my headlights on every now and then so we don't fall in a hole or bump into a termite mound. Now, as I was explaining earlier, patience is incredibly important when you're spending a lot of time with big cats because they do tend to sleep a lot. Lions in particular, 20 plus hours a day. Let's see, where's that other lioness gone? I think she's around there somewhere. Yeah, there she is. Having a sniff. Now, it's always the fun part now, which one do we stick with? I think we're going to stick with the one we were with initially, which is up ahead. Just make her out. And now I will flash a spotlight every now and then to see what might be coming ahead of the lions. Nothing so far. Now, Lily's wondering, why are they called the sausages? Lily, it's because they like sausage trees. So they do tend to climb sausage trees. Oh, there was a jackal I heard alarming at them. It sounded quite close, the little jackal. There it is. There's a pair of them just over there. So they might have a den close by, so that's why. I just heard this wow, 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 wow. They don't like lions around their babies. And the wind is picking up. I guess they're going to take the large wolf them. The wind is picking up, which is great if you're a lioness on the hunt. Strong winds will help mask the sounds of them moving. As you can see, they're getting right to the edge of the infrared light, so I'm going to have to move again. Hopefully I don't find any warthog holes this evening. Now, as I say, Tristan's cat run continues. So we're going to stick with these girls while they head off into the darkness. And Tristan is still with one of my favorite leopards, and possibly the only leopard who's ever stalked me on foot, Hosanna.
We are still with him, and he's I don't know what he's up to. He's all over the place. Oh, and a big jump down the bank. Hello, big boy. What are you doing? He's like running around as though there's something that he wants and something that he's trying to hunt, but I can't see what it is. So I'm trying to just kind of reverse and stay with him, but he keeps moving up and down the bank. He's making it difficult for us to kind of predict where he wants to go. There he comes now, slowly but surely. He's heading kind of towards where we are. So there he comes. Look at that, he's almost like he's on the prowl. He is heading south, so we're not going to have him for, I reckon we'll have him maybe for another 5 minutes at the most. But I don't know what he has seen that he has decided I want to hunt it, and he is chasing things, but we can't see what it is. I don't know if there's maybe a little rodent or something that he's seeing. I'm not sure at all. What are you watching, big boy? Beverly, you're asking if the spotlights are bothering him. I don't think so. He's used to the spotlights, so we'll go into infrared anyway, just to make sure that we can kind of keep him without having to worry about spotlights. But here he comes now, just walking down the road. And he's going straight into Little Gowrie within the next 5 seconds, I would say. It's really not going to be very long at all, unless he stops on this side. No, he's heading straight towards Little Gowrie now. I don't know what it's been all about this afternoon. He's kind of been, he went north, then he went south, then he went east, then he went west, and now he's heading towards the main road and out of our area. I'm going to try quickly, but it's beautiful with him spotlit like that, isn't it? Rashni, you say leopards are a lot more active compared to lions. They are, and that's why I love spending time with them. The lions are amazing when they're active, but that's not that often. At least with the leopards, you know if you spend a bit of time with them, they will get active fairly soon, and you will end up with a really kind of interesting sighting at some point. But there we go, he's busy crossing into Little Gowrie now. Oh no, maybe not. Now he's scent marking, or at least going to the toilet, that is. You'll also see with the spotlights, just so that you were saying if they're worrying him, you can see we're not shining on his face, so we shine down on the ground in front of him and just kind of bounce the light up towards him and make sure that we're not in any way shining in his eyes. And so if he wasn't sure about the spotlights, he most certainly would avert his gaze from them, whereas now you can see he's really kind of not too concerned about it. So just shine in front and make sure that we don't shine into his eyes, and then everything's okay. And there he goes. That's going to be our last views of Hosana as he disappears into Little Gowrie. So he came from there today, and well, now he goes back, and he's crossing exactly the same place that he crossed this morning coming in. So back down to the south and venturing into his territory that he had, well, not territory, but his area that he moves around down here. He seems to spend a lot of time down in the south in Little Gowrie these days, and so kind of bounces between the two. And you can see just how he's going to melt into the darkness as the range of the light gets too far. And so while Hosana slinks off into the evening and disappears into the thickets of the Sabi Sands in Little Gowrie, we were talking about cats being active and lions not as much as the leopards, but it seems Brent's lions are up and moving, so let's go across to him.
There we go, we're still with these gorgeous sausage girls, and you can see they are hungry, they're not starving by any means. And her ears are up. She might have heard something up ahead. As I say, there were topi and zebra in this area a little bit earlier. Okay, we need to keep up with her again. Check where the other one is. There's a retired wildebeest from when all the wildies were here. There's some carcasses strewn around this area. Okay, I've got both of the girls. I just want to get up ahead a little bit, so in case there is something there. Some giraffe coming up, but 2 lionesses. Giraffe might be a little bit big. But if there's a baby giraffe, that they would definitely have a gander at. And they're moving quite quickly, as you can see. They're really marching now. He's going to pop out next to us. And you can see how pitch black it is till we put the infrared on. So the grass is quite short after the wildebeest have been through here. So you can see them using the slightly more bushy areas, providing a little bit more cover. So there's some giraffe up ahead. I don't know if there's a baby with them though. Oh, hold on, we got some mud to deal with. Where did all those zebra disappear to? There were lots in this area earlier. So far ahead of them, devoid of life apart from giraffe on the horizon up there. Now walking parallel to us, just in the nice thickets there. Oh, watch out, we're going through a bit of a bump. They might have heard zebra in the distance that we can't see yet. They could be over the next little rise. So it's a slightly undulating country here. Yeah, now we've got both of them on the march. You can see that front lioness is quite a bit bigger. The back lioness looks to be a little bit younger. wind's starting to pick up even more, which is great for the lions. Roshni is wondering, what differences in hunting strategies have we noticed between the greater Kruger area and the Mara? Now, one must remember that lion hunting strategies will vary wherever they are in Africa. The lions in the greater Kruger are far more proficient at hunting buffalo, for example, but that's just because they don't have the amount of choice that these lions do. Generally, it seems to be only the males in certain prides that'll hunt buffalo, and normally only during the wet season when the wildebeest aren't here. Lions are taking us off the road now. Ooh, bumpy. The lions here, they've got the migration, so they'll charge into the migration, no real stalking or anything, and just wait to see if something happens or if there's an injured one, or lots of different tactics. There are also quite a lot of warthog hunters here, so they'll actually wait around burrows. But again, a lot of those tactics can even change seasonally, and never put a round peg in a square hole. Was it the other way around? I think it's the other way around. A square peg in a round hole, because as soon as you do that, you are going to find them doing something you say they don't do. And that's the wonderful thing about being out here with these animals, is that their behavior can change, and to a certain degree, certain behaviors are learnt from each other. Like, for example, elephant hunting in Botswana. It's very much a pride thing rather than a lion thing, and it's only in areas where they've been forced to take advantage of the massive amount of elephants and very little other game during certain times of the year. Definitely on a mission, these girls. Just making sure I'm not seeing any eyes up ahead, and aren't any so far, so time to keep up. Oh, hole. Looks like they're not favouring the roads this evening. Now remember, this is 100% live from the Mara in Kenya. We're with two lionesses on the hunt in the pitch black. It definitely has been a day full of cats, lion, leopard and cheetah. So let's go see how Taylor and her cheetah are getting on.
So our cheetah has decided that she needs a little bit of a rest, which I don't blame her for. She ran around, she caught herself a meal, she had it stolen from her. You probably used up quite a bit of energy doing so. And then to find her just resting up on a termite mound, not for very long, and then getting on the move. And she actually travelled quite a distance. I'm very impressed with how quickly she covered that ground. But that's also quite typical with the cheetahs. And that's why sometimes if you leave them in one spot, you can come back 20 minutes later and they'll be kilometres away. They really, really do move. There was not an uncommon sight in the Sabi Sand to be following a male cheetah from the southern section of the reserve. This was down in the south of the Sabi Sand. And then within an hour's time crossing out on the northern boundary. When they want to go, they move. And we see it all the time. We see it with wild dogs, how quickly they go, but their gait is normally a little bit quicker and more constant than that of a cheetah. She's just obviously walking. And it's the same like a leopard or a lion, male lion, going on a serious territorial patrol. They also cover, well, areas very quickly. Now, even though it's completely dark out here and she has sat down in the long grass, I think she's just waiting for everything to settle. It's not to say that cheetah don't hunt at night. That's a big misconception. They most certainly can hunt at night. And I have sort of come across cheetah at dusk, just after the sun has set, feeding on animals when we were with them, 20 to 30 minutes prior to that, and had to leave though, because when you're a guide and you have guests around, we don't have infrared cameras, of course, so you have to leave a cheetah at just at sunset. No spotlighting of cheetah and no cubs, of course, as you know, and things like wild dog we don't spotlight either. We only spotlight the nocturnal creatures. So, but you'll bump into them, have a quick look, keep the lights off them, of course, because you'll know that the hyenas will come charging in, or even a lion or a leopard, and steal their kills. So you just want to keep them as hidden as possible, and that's what we're doing here, and that's where we're so lucky, is that we are able to sit in complete darkness. I can't even see how far away she is from my car at the moment. I'm just sort of guessing. She's listening to lions roaring now. It's very, very, very far away and very faint. So I doubt that any of you will be able to hear it, because I'm just hearing it. But there's lions surrounding us. There's lions to the west of us, there's lions to the north of us, and there's lions to the east of us. And there's plenty of wildebeest around. Are they going to be on the right side of the river? I only hope so. Now, Lucian, you're wondering if this cheetah could climb trees? She most certainly can. She won't typically climb a vertical tree, something as tall as a marula, like in the Sabi Sand, but most certainly one that's been pushed over by elephants. One tree that's got low-lying branches that would make it quite easy for her to climb up, but she'll be climbing trees for a completely different reason than that of a leopard would. She doesn't take her kills up trees, she feeds down on the ground, but when you live in open areas like this, it's quite tough to see over the tall grass, and you can see it's really quite high here. The wildebeest haven't been through this section and grazed it short just yet. That will change, I reckon, in the next few days. So she'll be using it as a vantage point, just as we see animals using termite mounds. They will do the same thing. And again, they're actually not too bad at getting up. The problem comes in with with cheetah and lions, is coming down. They don't seem to be as coordinated as they are when they go up. That's where leopards take the cake. And of course, they can go up a tree and come down just as well. But we're going to sit with this girl and see what she gets up to. She's not completely flat just yet. She's still pricking her ears. Tristan is not sitting in the cover of darkness. He's got his spotlight out, and I wonder what he's searching for.
Well, just bumbling back, but I've just found tracks for this other leopard on top of my tracks from this morning, and we know that Hosanna was at the dam the whole morning and day, so it must be Tumba that's moving around here. But I'm checking very carefully and very slowly. The last tracks I had were coming out of the Mulawati again, right where his tracks went in this morning, and heading back to this general vicinity. So I'm just driving slowly and scanning around with this light, trying to hope that I pick up his eyes somewhere in this area. But definitely the tracks are on top of my tracks from today, which is interesting. They're not on top of the tracks from this afternoon from some of the other vehicles, but they are on top of mine from the morning, which means that he must be somewhere in this general vicinity. Like I say, just got to find him wherever that may be. He might be just sitting underneath one of these bushes, or maybe he's begun to move around now and I've just missed him by him not facing towards the spotlight, because if he's not close and he's not facing towards me and he's down on the ground, well, then I've got no chance of spotting him. But it's a good kind of clue for tomorrow morning to come and check around here for our little green-eyed boy, and maybe he'll be around and at dams instead of Hosanna in the morning. Interesting though. There's definitely a lot of leopard movement around the Mulawati at the moment. I wonder if the rains are going to change that. I remember when I first started at Safari Live, I didn't see leopards in the Mulawati at all. In fact, I think it took me about 4 months until I saw my first leopard in the Mulawati, and now in the last 2 weeks I think I've seen about 40 in there. Well, it's obviously not 40, but there's been a vast majority of the sightings have been in and around the Mulawati drainage section. So it must be somewhere. There must be something about the dry season, maybe the shade that comes into the area and causes a much better place for them to lie down. Also, I suppose twin dams is a huge benefit as well, because that's water for these cats where there's no water anywhere else. They also go up to Gowrie Dam, so it's nice connective kind of tissue to have when you have a drainage line that runs from one big water source to another one. It helps to be able to then find these guys, because they'll go from one to another and back and forth, and that's why I'm sure we're seeing so many moving around here. But other than that, not much happening. A few impala, one or two little scrub hares have popped over the road while I've been driving, and there's updates that the Inkuma female that we had earlier, she's crossed into the west, so she's gone back to Simamili side to go rejoin the pride. Apparently they heard her calling. That buffalo herd is turning north towards Manyeleti, which is not ideal for us. And what else is happening? That's it. That's the only updates I've got. They didn't find Tingana this afternoon at Cheetah Plains. It seems to have vanished. And that's all that there was. I think the hyena den with Gwen was active for some part of the afternoon. I don't think the whole afternoon, but some part of it was active and was working and going, and so we'll try maybe check there in the morning too. I didn't do it. You're asking where are the elephants? Well, in this area at the moment we have weather like we just had the last 2 days. Elephants are going to be pretty much gone. There won't be too many around. Like this weather, they try and get into dense, thick areas, try and hide out from the wind and the cold, and so you see very little of elephants around cold front. But prior to that, when it was hot, we also didn't see too many until that last afternoon before the cold, when I thought, well, the elephants are back now. Then all of a sudden the weather changes, and that's the end of that. But we did have those two herds, and I believe there was a herd seen today on Torchwood coming this general direction, so maybe tomorrow morning we'll have some ellies. It would be nice to have some elephants tomorrow morning, given that the wind is settling. It looks like it's breaking up overhead. I can see a few stars, and so that would generally mean that we are going to experience some clear weather and hopefully warmer weather, which will drive the elephants to come and drink at some of the waterholes, particularly if the sun is out. Now, for those of you that are also wondering about the pangolin tracks that I found the other day and whether I've been checking around, I have every night driven the same road to come and check for this pangolin. Every morning, every night, to try and see if there's any more tracks coming back over the road. But so far, there's been absolutely nothing, and it's exactly where we are now. So we're just checking slowly along, seeing maybe by some miracle this pangolin's still around. It is now going a little bit far for us to probably expect it to be here if we haven't found any more signs. You can see this is where it crossed. That's the mark that we made to indicate this area. And unfortunately, if it's 3-4 days and no more signs, chances are that it's probably moved on a little bit and is no longer actually in this particular section, which is a bit of a bummer. But now is the time of the year when you see pangolins. You'll find them a lot more in August, September, October. It's their breeding season from what I read, and they tend to be a lot more active, and they try and find one another and find mates, and so you find them kind of going across roads and moving and looking for each other, and so it's a good time for pangolins, apparently. August, September, October is apparently the best time for them. That would be a really nice surprise. I would be super happy with one of those. Like I say, otherwise it feels a little bit quiet out here. No sounds of any owls, no genets in any of the holes in the tree. I've been checking extensively in all of them, trying to find... Riti, you wanted an owl and an aardvark. Well, aardvark would be, well, we'll do flick-flack if we saw an aardvark. They're very uncommon to see. Although the right weather for them, overcast conditions, that means they'll be out a little bit earlier than normal. So that would have been a nice... But owls was something that we could have done, but I can't find any yet. So I'm going to check. There's a tree up ahead, not too far. I might have to get a little bit of a move on to see if I can get there in time, because we're running towards the end of show now. But I'm going to try and get towards where this tree is, that there is a Scops owl pair that sometimes sits in it. So we'll try and find them quickly. Let's just like I say, get a bit of a move on to where I need to be. It's a tree coming up in the distance here. It's actually, maybe it's this one. Yes, it is this one. So actually, sorry, I thought it was the one in front, but it is this one. So now I've just got to try and scan around. So it is a Scops owl pair, and they are quite difficult to spot. Let's wait, I can actually hear one. No, they're not here. They're further on today. So let's try and track it down quickly by sound. But it sounds like it's calling somewhere here. Maybe this big tree is actually where they are this evening. It's going to be very difficult in this tree to find them. Come on, call for us. See any eyes. We should get eyes quite quickly from the spotlight. So no, it doesn't seem like they're in this tree either. Let's just go forward and see if we can find one more big tree. It's somewhere in this general vicinity. So, Tony, you want a demonstration of how Pooji works? Now, I don't think we're going to have enough time. I've taped Pooji so that he stays where he is. We've got to turn Pooji on, and he's got a fancy little chime when he turns on. So we'll try to turn him on. Ooh, there we go. Alright, Pooji, the stage is set for you. So there we go. Now I'm going to play, let's play an owl call. Let's play the Scops owl since we were looking for them. Not bad, eh? Pooji's got some good lungs on him. You can actually hear the other Scops owls answering back because of how loud it is. So there we go. That's Pooji's. What other owls do we hear? Pearl spotted. Let's see if it's better than Byron's pearl spotted owlet. Not bad, actually. Pooji has got a good set of lungs, that's for sure. So there we go, that's Pooji's debut. We will use Pooji more often. Let's put Pooji back where he needs to be though, so that he's taped up back on the dashboards so he doesn't fall. But apparently we're counting down, and unfortunately it's the end of the show. So from Senzo and myself, goodbye. We'll see you all tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.